know what's funny, man? Things I say here. By the way, man, I don't do shows to validate myself because I don't personally care. I give you an opinion. And when people are a year late, this Tim McManus story, I agree. It's old news because I've been telling you this shit for over a year. And I'm going to kind of break it down here. By the way, do I believe that the Eagle players want to go forward with the 24 season? Absolutely. This is a byproduct of the media being controlled by the Eagles and all of a sudden them finding reality out. By the way, we start the program off as we do each and every single day. Big Sills. Please, guys, do me a favor. Hit the like button. We appreciate it. Dude, I've been telling you this bullshit for over a year now. And I agree with you. Okay, this is old news shit. Let me get into this. Tim McManus put out a story here, and we're going to look at some of the comments that he made into it here. But by the way, we're going to talk, obviously, takeaways of Sirianni's press conference today. And a lot of the players, including Jalen Hurts, spoke today. What was the name of the fucking article that they called it? I got to get this. This is too much here, man. Again, what they call this thing? This Tim McManus story, right? What was it? Eagles look to bridge Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts. Bridge what? The relationship? Okay. Some of the takeaways here. First and foremost, before we get into it. Once again, do I believe the Eagles want to go forward? Yes. Is this a byproduct of the Philadelphia media being a year behind? Yes. Is this old news? Yes. Are things being rectified? Yes. But here's your problem when you hear this stuff. And when you read the article, it's kind of amazing. Okay? It's kind of amazing when you think about it. So Jalen Hurts calls Wink Martindale after the loss in the regular season to prepare for the upcoming Buccaneer game that he was going to play in a wild card game. Wink now is the DC at Michigan. He was a defensive coordinator for the New York Giants. Got to remember something. He wasn't fired immediately. They wanted to make changes on the coaching staff. Wink walked in. Him and Brian Dable got into a bitch. This was wild card week, he called them. It was wild card week that he called. So the coaching in the building, according to Hurts, wasn't good enough. And he talked to him, forget this wasn't a 15-minute phone call. He talked to him for over an hour and a half. What was Wink saying? Wink said, let me get to this here. It's pretty telling about the shitty coaching that went on. By the way, Brian Johnson got fucked over. He got totally fucked over. Xander just said Brian Johnson's done nothing. How can you when you got people over your shoulder like a crow? He had no chance to do anything as a coordinator. He was never allowed to coach. He was never allowed to be a position coach because Sirianni was in his way. He reached out to him prior to the Buccaneer playoff game. I don't know about you, but I've never heard of a quarterback getting ready for a wild card game where a team just beat me, and 3 days later, I'm reaching out to the DC. And Wink was like, they knew we were getting to him. We knew that the pressure worked. Eagles were not committed to the running of the quarterback. You're welcome. They did not want to stick to what made him good, This is according to Wink Martindale. They decided to throw the ball too much. We say that shit about the guy in Baltimore. Okay? By the way, Hurts wanted nothing to do with Nick. Now, is it anything now? Is it relevant to today? Yeah. Because Nick Sirianni, and I'll say it one more time, is not qualified to be a head football coach in this league. He doesn't know how to handle himself. And I'm going to show you something else. You know that fucking guy, ESP, that put that thing out a couple days ago about Nick Sirianni having a good camp? Let me show you how you set up media things for other stories to come. You ready? He put that out there because I guarantee you, the professional that Tim McManus is, he gave Bob Lang a heads up that this was coming out. And that's why that guy, Elliot Spitzer, whatever guy, put that out there like that. And you can guarantee over the next couple days, the Eagles are going to make it mandatory that players talk good about Nick and that there'll be stories. Why is this important? Because this is, and I'll agree, a nothing burger. If I were the Eagles, I would ignore it. I would completely ignore it. I wouldn't even give it legs. But the Eagles can't handle that because why? It's important with the perception of how people see them. You know, every national talk show host now and every national show in the country is talking about Nick Sirianni and the fractured relationship with Jalen. Like I said, hey, you're a year late. You and me know this. You and me know this, and we're ready. By the way, I'm going to talk mostly about the 24 season and what players are saying now. I'm not hanging on this thing here, but I think it's important to address. Everyone in the country is. You're welcome. You're late. Maniac, I'm with everybody in here. And I'm even with Xander on this. Sills, it's 24. They're having a good camp. This is actually a nothing burger. No shit. But I guarantee you the Eagles will make it into a something burger. Why? Because that's how they act. They can't let just something die. They can't let that hang out there on the vine like that. Okay? Dude, pretty telling some of the things that were said in there. That Sirianni and Jalen Hurts and Brian Johnson, every single time, Brian Johnson wanted Jalen Hurts to have more control of the offense. Hence, Kellen Moore saying in a press conference the other day, I want this offense to be Jalen Hurts's. Jalen Hurts said something to the owner. He can't be involved in play calling. He cannot be involved in it. Because everything Kellen Moore is saying at the press conference is everything that's coming out in that story. That's why that's important. Nick Sirianni, that article exposed the fact of why he's in the position he's in now with the Eagles. That article really has nothing to do with Hurts or the 24 season. That article has everything to do with Nick. Dude, the players don't give a shit about that article. Nick has to. Okay? Nick has to. He's got to be on his best behavior moving forward. It's crazy. I mean, the points that I took out of it. Yeah, the points I took out of it. Get this. Jalen Hurts and Brian Johnson were questioning Devontae Smith blocking on 3rd and 19 in a bubble screen. They went over to the sidelines and said something to Nick. Dude, what do you got Devontae Smith blocking on 3rd and 19 in a bubble screen. What in the world are you thinking? This is an indictment on why he was demoted. I've never seen a head football coach demoted, and he still keeps the name on his door, head coach. I've never seen this. 3rd and 19, and you got Devontae Smith blocking in a bubble screen. Why? Brian Johnson and Jalen were so frustrated. Every single time Brian Johnson went with a game plan, he wanted Hurts to have more say in the offense. He was trying to let Jalen take the offense. Again, I want to underscore this. Jalen addressed it today in so many ways, and I'll tell you how. Okay, and I'll tell you how here. This Wink Martindale conversation. You have a quarterback calling up the defensive coordinator 3 days after you play a ball game and spend an hour and a half on the phone with him. What did you see? Well, we knew they were not committed to him running the ball. Remember what I told you? Once you took the RPO away, you took what made Jalen Hurts special away. Nick Sirianni last year took what made Jalen Hurts special away. Kenny Pickett today in the conversation when he was asked the question about having more run options in the offense, he said, yeah, I've never seen anything like it. So there's now designed plays in the offense. I guarantee you that comes from Jalen Hurts. Guarantee you that comes from him. Article in the context of the Seattle game, one team source described it as Hurts trying to play hero ball. Another put it in this way. He was trying to prove he was worth. Hey, I'll say this to you. There's no doubt that guy went to management, and I'm talking the owner and the GM, and he was involved in the power structure of where they are. How could their relationship be good when Jalen Hurts is responsible for getting, and rightfully so, Nick Sirianni demoted? All Kellen Moore, when he speaks, tells you exactly his importance in the offense. Sills, we said this months ago, Nick cannot be trusted to go out and do a media loop and kill the 23 collapse. If Nick would have addressed this, he'd be discussing the need to linebackers and edge. Bob, listen. Again, his press conference today was filled with nothing. It was like I was listening. I didn't even know what he fucking was talking about. I don't even know what the fuck he was talking about. Hey, Prince, let's stay in reality. Okay. The reality is Kurtz had to call another coach outside the building. I've never heard of a quarterback getting ready for a wild card game, calling a team that just beat the shit out of you, and how your team couldn't handle the blitz to prepare for a team you had beaten earlier in the year. You got to remember that dynamic with the Bucs. They blasted the Bucs early in the year. Don't you think they had a proper understanding of how to beat Tampa? You had to call Wink Martindale? Things must have unraveled so bad. The Eagle fan goes, last season, history. Correct. I believe that. But you still got the cancer in the body. You have not taken that out. Do I think that Nick Sirianni is going to be on his best behavior? Yes. Yes, I do. He was probably read the riot act. Jalen Hurts got him demoted. Jalen Hurts got him demoted. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. Get him out of my way. Hey, you ever notice when Jalen talks about people he trusts? Jeffrey Lurie, Nuss, Kellen. Oh, yeah, Nick. Always last. That's Jalen does everything intentionally. Okay? Hey, Akbar, absolutely it's a good thing. He went like this. We're not having another season like that again. Jalen Hurts has shown tons of leadership this offseason, and I commend him for it. You know why? He put an inferior coach in a box. This guy's been around Nick Saban, Lincoln Riley, the coordinators at Alabama, Shane Steichen. He knows when he sees a fucking shitty OC. And he was not going to have that happen again to him. Yes, sir. I got more respect for Hurts today than I did yesterday. Absolutely. He's not going to allow that again. Keep telling y'all, Nicky's out, no matter what and how you doing. I don't know. Wait a minute, Marshall. I'm going to tend to agree with Xander. Wait a minute. That's the quintessential head coach that Jeffrey Lurie wants. He doesn't want Andy Reid. He doesn't want Doug Peterson. He wants a guy that gets along and goes along. And if that guy can continue to win and the Eagles continue to win, he'll remain the head football coach of that team no matter what. The moment they lose, he's out. He's not going to get another shot. He's used his mulligan. And he won 11 games and he had to use a mulligan. Think about that. Doug Peterson he didn't even get a mulligan and he won a Super Bowl. This guy was given a mulligan only because they fired Doug and this guy won 11 games. It's the only reason. I've never seen anything like it. Quarterback goes into do you know that John Elway went in and got Dan Reeves fired so that they can elevate the offensive coordinator, Mike Shanahan, to be the head coach of Denver? He went into the owner, Pat Bowlen, and said he's got to go. And you know what Pat Bowlen did? They fired Dan Reeves and elevated Mike Shanahan. He said, Shanahan's going to take us over the top. Dan will never. He was right. He was right. He was totally right. Last season, I said it was coaching, and you in return said, hey, Prince, about me and you right now here. Last year, no. It's not about coaching, Prince. Prince says this is about coaching. It's about a coach. Not coaching. A coach. He also railroaded Desai. This is about one coach, not coaching. One guy. How do you know Sean Desai? By the way, I can't believe some of you don't think that there's a coincidence that you just see that Desai was hired by the second best coach, if not the best coach in the NFL, and Sean McVay in LA as a senior assistant to the head guy. And you also got him as the quarterback coach for Jalen Daniels up in Washington now with the Commanders. Those two guys must have some respect. They got jobs immediately. Wasn't like Matt Patricia. They're great this year. Do we keep Nick and let Moore walk? That will be the biggest conversation. That will be the biggest conversation in the offseason. Again, folks, I want to make it very clear here. Okay? I want to make it very clear. I agree with you. Sills. Well, the only reason you guys knew this is because we had been talking about it for a year. The people that write for the Inquirer, that go on WIP at 97.5, were too afraid to address it. There lies the difference in our show and their show, in our network and their networks. We've been saying this for what? JAKIB Sports and our conversations have been validated by this. By the way, there's no ribbons for this. And I'm with you. I kind of feel, dude, they've had a good camp. And I feel like Hugh Douglas. Why now? Because the media doesn't like to be made to look like assholes. All of a sudden, dude, I turn on every radio show. Fractured relationship with Sirianni and Jalen. Holy cow, he was in the way. You're like this. Welcome to the party. Who says Moore's a good coach? I don't know. You do. You do. Everything they're doing right now is counterproductive to the last year and how they approached everything. That's why Nick can't answer your questions in press conferences. He's asked these like softball questions. I don't know why he wastes 15 minutes of his day there. I mean, right, Kyle. It's like saying no shit. Right. It's like saying no shit. Still, it's the front office. I agree that Howie wants the CEO type of head coach, but if Howie doesn't change that stance, Howie will lose OC that Jalen Hurts trusts. The Roseman roller coaster rolls on. Bob, you mean the Howie Roseman power trip rolls on? That's how he contains control. You can't let Andy Reid and Doug Peterson back in the building again because it takes control away from him and importance. You know this, and you know this. That dynamic is why Howie is in the position he's in. He's not a personnel guy, college-wise. He's a fair drafter. He's really good in pro personnel. Why? Other organizations underutilize good talent. How he finds that. That's a skill set. His contracts, tremendous. His college scouting, okay. Okay, sure. Wake me up when Tyler Steen's decent. Wake me up when the Kobe's decent. Again, I'm going to put this story to bed here. I'm going to put it to bed because you know why? I agree with Hugh Douglas, former Eagle and WIP. I agree with him. Why now? What's the point? Right. The point is that Tim McManus article now tells you exactly why the Eagles are in the position they're in with Nick. This is an indictment on Nick, not Jalen. Nick Sirianni's relationship with the quarterback and his interference with the offensive approach last year put him in a box. And how he kept his job, it is unbelievable. There's only one reason. And here's that famous comment. Philadelphia Eagles win in spite of Nick Sirianni. I didn't really think that comment ever existed. It exists in Philly. They win in spite of him. That guy holds them back. And the Eagle front office is going to make sure he doesn't this year. That's why that's why you're going like this. Jesus criminy. Vic is telling things the way it is. When's the last? We've never heard that in the Sirianni regime. A coach, dude, I've heard more out of Vic Fangio inside of 5 months than I heard Nick Sirianni say ever in 3 years. I've never heard anything like that. And Kellen's telling you, I want this offense to be Jalen's offense. Well, that's not what that McManus article was saying, that Nick would completely get in the way all the time. Howie's a fantasy redraft specialist. There's a skill to that, though. I mean, finding Gardner Johnson down on somebody's roster, or knowing that you can use a cover safety or a zone safety like Slay on your team, there's a skill set to that. I'm not dissing that. Sills, the real question is how good this team can be with the right leadership. You had a winning season with poor coaching and a tough schedule. The front office is fucking our window. Hey, Prince, I'll say this to you. I think they righted the ship this year by hiring all these assistant coaches with experience. And they know that they kind of lost a year of that window a year ago. And that's why you see so much experience. Clint Hurtt hired. Do you know what a kudo that is, getting Clint Hurtt as your D-line coach when he could have waited? Was still being paid by Seattle as a DC up there. But Vic talked him into coming into Philly, and now he's dealing with that. If Clint takes that team to an NFC title game and all of a sudden you see Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis Pro Bowlers, he's a surefire defensive coordinator somewhere in the NFL. That is a kudo. But that's a Vic Fangio hire. Okay? That's really great to get a guy like that. At least now he's not allowed. Right. That's the story for today. Seals, how does Howie have the skills being Eagles have more than $350 million in cap hits deferred? I saw that, Hollywood. That's coming up in the next year or two. That Howie has the most money in cap hits that are coming up of any team in the National Football League. Actually, they're the only team over $300 million, which means this. Hollywood, they're going to have to go back and give bags of money to Lane, to Mulata. They're probably going to have to go back to Landon, to Hurts, to some of these guys to lower those cap hits, which means more bags of money. Now, if guys are succeeding, and AJ, guys like that are succeeding, the Eagles have shown a propensity not to have a problem with that. They've shown that they don't have an issue with that stuff. I don't mind paying guys. By the way, I think it's a great smoke signal to other free agents. You come in here and produce and you play well outside of Hassan Reddick, you're going to get paid. Okay? Hit the like button, please, guys. You guys are killing it. I appreciate it. You can't waste years like that, though. Sales, Howie finds player talent on other teams, but can't or won't identify and hire coaching talent. Well, I don't know if that's the case. Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen, both are head football coaches. Doug Peterson's a head football coach. So, I mean, those guys were in the Eagle organization. So you've got to get, hey, as bad as last year was, the year before they hired 2 NFL head coaches off that staff. So you've got to have some balance in that, Bob. You've got to be fair to it. Howie can't hire assistants? No, I don't think so. Howie can't develop quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts, I think, has so much to do with this moving forward. They might have a very successful team. depending on what the defense comes up with and how the defense looks. Hollywood, we'll see what they do. I think they're going to have to do a lot of work. Hey, Hollywood, would you agree? Howie Roseman has more work to do this coming off season than any time he's been general manager. He's got $350 million in cap money that's due. He's got to restructure tons of contracts this coming off season. He's got the most money due on cap hits of any team in the league by a lot. By a lot. Okay? He should have big say. But listen, man, I'm very proud of Jalen. He went in there and said, this guy can't be my coach. And I agree. I think he likes him. I don't think he respects him as a coach. I do not. Stills, if Moore and Hurts mesh well early, we might see our own Sirianni and Reeves coup d'etat. No way, man. No way. It's more important for Jeffrey Lurie to have control than win Lombardi trophies. No way. He has not shown a different dynamic than that. He will not sacrifice his control of the team for winning a Lombardi trophy. He has not shown me that he's capable of that. Until that dynamic changes, you're getting a new. I do believe Jalen Hurts is going to have a successful season this year. And Kellen Moore's gone. Now, could it be a slow key or a Johnson in Detroit where the right opportunity doesn't hit and he's back with Hurts? Yes. See, here's the cool thing about Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore's he can't get a lateral job. Okay, that's illegal. Unless you put this tag on. He's the assistant to the head coach, offensive coordinator. You can't make lateral moves without giving up compensation. So Kellen Moore's next step is either going to be extra money, extra job responsibility, or a head coaching job. He's not going to make a lateral move to go take the Bills OC job. That's not how that works. Okay? I mean, so you're going to have fewer jobs for him to go there. Wait, it's a successful season, but you got the Washington Commanders winning the division. So I said could be a winning season. I think he's going to have oh, by the way, I didn't say the Eagles were. I said he was. So let me define it for you, Prince. I think Hurts is going to have a successful season. I didn't say the Eagles were. I don't know what you got on defense yet. I'll let you know after 8 games. Especially after I heard Bryce Huff talking either yesterday or today. I never said the Eagles are going to have a good season this year. I said that Jalen was. Anyway, again, so that article kind of told me a little bit here. But to circle back, players want to move forward. Jalen Hurts even addressed that. So let's get into Nick Sirianni and his presser thing. Here's Big Sil's takeaway with Nick Sirianni today. Then we'll get to the players. Okay? First off, an overall takeaway. I don't know what he's saying. Everything is so vague. It doesn't make sense. Hey, by the way, ESP, I know you watch the show. How many more tweets are going to come out that Nick's having a good camp? Tim McManus tipped you off that article was coming out? Bob wants you to put out a tweet That's what I tell you, folks. That's your media plants, like Howard Eskin and ESP, or the Philadelphia Eagle, Philadelphia City of Brotherly Love, Eagle plants. Those are your Eagle plants. They're there to tell you what the organization wants to be heard by you. You totally are. See, I hate to be the one to parachute into your market and give you an education on how plants work, on how they want you to hear what they want you to hear, and that you've been bullshitted all these years. It's quite remarkable, actually. If Hurts was responsible for little Nicky's demotion and he takes a liking to Kellen and is successful, little Nicky's gone. He is mentally out right now. It could be Jalen. Jalen got more power this offseason. Jalen got more power this offseason. You know how Nick had power from the Super Bowl a year ago? Well, the owner believes in him. Remember what Jalen said today at his evening press conference? I trust Mr. Lurie. He didn't say anything about his coach. I trust Mr. Lurie. Jeffrey Lurie's talking to this guy maybe one-on-one. This guy's relationship is like the relationship that Brady had with Bob Kraft. This is like Bob Kraft and Brady. Hey, I'm not saying Mahomes doesn't have that relationship with Clark Hunt, the owner of the Chiefs, but his relationship is more with Andy because he trusts Andy more. Again, the Sirianni presser today, I don't know what he was saying. 4 days of practice. He was talking about weather on Friday. The media people were talking about weather on what they were going to do on Friday. They'll cancel the practice and have a practice the next day. What are you going to do if it rains? Go inside? Dry off? Use a towel? I mean, what do you think Nick Sirianni is? A meteorologist? What do you think they're going to do? Go inside? What kind of fucking questions were those? I don't care about the weather on Friday. I want to know how shit's going now. What are we preparing? How's the installation coming? Or maybe you don't have any answers for that. You're telling me about fucking weather? He's not sure what the rotation will be yet for Friday. Yeah, because the front office hasn't told him yet. Howie hasn't told him with the analytics guys and the medical guys what they're going to do. You imagine telling your head coach, this is what we're going to do. And then you could be the mouthpiece of the players and telling them what we're going to do. And to the assistant coaches. What head coach on a Tuesday doesn't know what he's going to already do on Friday? How do you not know that? I'm going to play the ones and the twos. This guy's going to get some reps. Shit, I already know the Commanders are playing Jaden Daniels on Friday. I know Patrick Mahomes is playing in the first exhibition game. And he's already made that clear. He's playing. You don't know what you're doing? Boy, you got a lot of roosters in the hen house there, boy. I'll tell you that. God dang it. The more this unfolds, I have to say Hurts is Lurie's guy. Oh, absolutely. That's what I learned today. Hey, Marshall, thank you, by the way. Little Nicky's Howie's guy. That's obvious. I don't know about that. I don't think Howie has any guy. I think Howie has Howie. I don't think Howie has Howie. I don't think there's anybody in that building that that's his boy. I don't buy that. That guy has one thing, self-preservation. That's it. That's right, Bob. Howie is Howie's guy. He ain't Last time he put something on where he went, that's my guy, that guy put him in the broom closet. That guy put him in the broom closet. No way does that guy have a guy. No way. Nick ain't his guy. Lori doesn't want to be made to look wrong because he fired Doug. That's why, and he's winning. Got to put that. You got to be fair in these conversations. Get this. He's talked about somebody brought up the blitz. Yeah, we're working on hot reads with the blitz. Okay. Here's what he said, too, about Kellen Moore. Okay. Ask the question, what does he like a lot about Kellen? Well, he's got a rhythm. He's got a feel for the game. You could tell that he calls the right plays or has the right mentality because he was a former player and played at a high level himself. And that he's got a rhythm to it. I'm going to make a proclamation here to you. When Nick Sirianni was the offensive coordinator in Indianapolis, he wasn't the guy calling plays. It was Frank. Wasn't him. He's a wide receiver coach, masquerading as a head coach. You ever wonder why your wide receivers are pretty damn good? He's good at that. I saw him in San Diego working with Keenan Allen. I did. He's good at that. Working with Austin Eckler. Asked about the kickoffs. I'm with him on this one. I don't know what. That kickoff thing is weird. Adjustments are critical. And he made this, thought it was important. You know why Isaiah Rodgers and Reed Blankenship and Gardner Johnson and Slay are the early favorites to be the starters in the secondary? Why do you think that is? Because they know where to line up. Because they know adjustments. Because aligning up is one of the most important things. He goes, the 90% of the mistakes we see on film right now are alignment mistakes. That's youth. You guys don't get it. Quinyon Mitchell may be more talented. You got in the league because of your talent. You're going to play because of your knowledge, not just your talent. You guys are like Cooper DeJean and Keely Ringo and Quinyon Mitchell. That doesn't make you an NFL ball player. You got to the NFL because you're good in college. You stay in the NFL because of the knowledge you have of the league and the technique that was taught to you. Get to what Slager says here. Who really gives a fuck what head coach is saying in a press conference? Belichick did nothing but grunt. Belichick was the greatest press conference head coach of all time. He gave him shit. There lies the difference. Your coach opens up his pie hole and says bullshit where he doesn't have to. Hey, Nick, shut the fuck up. He's trying to carve out a role for him. This is why that Tim McManus story is so still kind of hanging over that franchise. He's trying to carve out a place for himself. A good head coach would get up there and here and just go, yep, we're on to Friday. Yep, we're on to Friday. We're on to Friday. Sales, Howie being Howie's guy is the main issue in Philly. You cannot have long-term success if you choose to go it alone. Things move too quickly in the business to only have one set of eyes. Howie has one set of eyes on 5 different fractions of the organization. That's what makes him weak. Dude, there used to be a coach by the name of Ray Perkins. Ray Perkins built the Giants back up to being respectable and put them in the playoffs for the first time in 35 years in New York. He drafted Taylor. He drafted Phil Simms. He got all those guys. Okay, and he did a great job. You know what happened when he went to Tampa? He was the quarterback coach, the offensive coordinator, the head coach, head of personnel, head of pro personnel, head of contracts. It thinned him and turned him into a mediocre coach. Do what you do well and stick to it. It's very simple. I'm not going to go out and try to be a news talk guy. That's not my skill set. I always like the guy who wants, well, you know, I like to be a DJ. I don't want to be a DJ. I don't want to be a DJ. This guy just says the dumbest shit. He was talking about accountability. I think he's just talking. Who's he talking to? Nick, are you accountable for the mess you created? No. You know who cleaned up Nick Sirianni's mess? Howie and Jeffrey Lurie. He didn't clean it up. The owner did. I mean, look at Senor. I feel stupid listening to that. I know. I mean, dude, Rich Kotite had a better decorum behind the mic. He talked about the RG battle. The final conversation piece on his presser was interesting because it came at the very end. You know why? Weak-ass Philly media people couldn't ask him out of the gate the hardest question. What do you make of the Tim McManus article today? And if you hadn't seen it, Tim was in the building. They should have let Tim ask the question. It was the last one asked. Dude, that whole thing was a setup today for Nick. It was a total setup. The last question about the relationship with Jalen Hurts and him. Yeah, we're in a good place. Okay. We're in a good place. By the way, how many days are you going to watch Nakobe Dean get put in a position to get reps and get crushed like he did today? When does that end? When does that thing end? And you have to come to have a conversation? Well, you know, Aeneas Smith, is Nick or Howie's fault? Dude, Howie's got to put good players on the field. Dude, all you need to know about Howie Roseman is the linebacking group. That's not Vic Fangio's fault that they suck. It has nothing to do with Vic. Remember what Dave Wannstedt? I saw Dave Wannstedt, too, the other day was voted the second greatest coordinator in the history of the Dallas Cowboys. And Butch Davis was third as the greatest coordinator. And Ernie Stautner was number one. And Dave said it on this program, having worked with Vic. You're not going to fail because of Vic's schemes. You're going to fail because you don't have the proper players in the building. I mean, how many practices are you going to waste? God, they need help at LB. Get this, folks. It's August 7th. September 6th, you play a ball game in Brazil. And you don't even know who you got playing linebacker yet. And you got free agents and walk-ons getting ready to play linebacker for you against the Green Bay Packers. Okay. Okay. Super Bowl, right? Make Kell an assistant head coach. Keep him around to continue the development of Jalen. It's actually a great idea, Vincent, is to elevate him midseason to assistant head coach. Then the next move would have to be head coach. And what you do is you limit that opportunities out there to have an opportunity to go be an OC somewhere else. It's actually a damn good idea. Actually a great idea. Holy cow. Thoughts on Teron Arnold getting cooked by Dimes Jones? Nothing. Thoughts on Quinyon Mitchell being beat out by a guy who hasn't played ball in a year? Comments? Q, thank you for coming aboard. Steels, if this defense sucks out loud this year with Fangio in there, do you believe Fangio gets replaced next year? Of course I do. The problem is, again, it's personnel and it's lack thereof depth. You have no depth at DT. You have no depth at edge. You have no linebacker depth. You're young and inexperienced in the secondary. That's your today reality. Well, Dan, these guys have great. I don't fucking care about potential. You're in the league because you have potential. Stop talking like that. Talk who you are right now. Because 2024, you guys just got through telling me about that McManus story being 23. Well, I don't want to hear about 24 and 25, what Mitchell's going to look like. I want to know now, what are you today? Don't tell me fantasy. What are you right now? And there's no doubt Dean got destroyed again today. Why are you playing him? Why are you playing him? And by the way, like I said, that article today by McManus exposed exactly what we said all year last year. That Sirianni was not qualified to be a head coach. And Jalen Hurts hated him. And get this, how can Brian Johnson be a coach when Nick's undermining him every day? And Jalen undermining him. He undermined both guys. That's why your head coach is in a sandbox. That's pretty much JM. You got to make it work. That's what John McMullen said the other day. Hey, Nakobe, some of these other guys you have, you got to make that work. You got to, this ain't college ball where you got 85 men on scholarship. You got to make that work. You got to make that thing work with what you have. Pro ball is completely different than college ball. You got 100 kids on a roster. You can go 10 deep and find a guy. 100 deep. 100 deep. First team, second team. And if you're a place like Alabama, you got 5-star kids 5, 6 deep. You're going to find a kid. You don't have good players 3 deep. You only have 53 men on a Sunday. Sales, no depth on your front lines is a recipe for a disaster in today's NFL. Even San Francisco says they don't have enough. I don't think San Francisco has enough depth as well. Okay? Let's get to the players. And what they've said the last 2 days. Again, folks, these are the players talking. By the way, Mark Holmes and Philly 500 be with us at the bottom of the hour. Battle Royale and Xander will join us at 4:30. He was asked the question once again about playing the run. He goes, I'm getting better. August 7th. I'm getting better. I thought you were supposed to have that skill set already when you got to the league, but this must be like junior football or high school football. It's crazy. I'm getting better. Asked the question about playing the run, what's different? He goes, yeah, I've never been put in a position on what Vic and how Vic wants me to play the run like I was in New York. Was asked about dropping in coverage. He goes, yeah, there's more looks and things, and I haven't really done that. I played that back. I haven't really done that to the extent of what Vic wants me to do. So you can't play the run and you don't really drop back and have it in your career, but you're going to do it in Philly. I mean, I'm listening to a press conference of a player acknowledging he doesn't have the skill right now. Wait, he doesn't have the knowledge right now to play the position. Vic's systems are very complex. Was asked about Nolan Smith. He's doing well, I mean, plays hard, practices hard. He was asked if edge rushers was a weakness on the team. He goes, no. We hear the criticism, but we don't really listen to it too much. And we'll just have to wait and see. This makes you wonder how much Fangio actually has in who got signed and drafted. JM, you got a football player and this guy Bryce Huff telling you that he's getting better playing the run. He doesn't really drop in coverage, but he's learning. Out of his own mouth. Okay. And you paid $18 million for that or $50 million for that? And you're going to give him 900 reps? You're going to give that guy 900 snaps in an NFL season, and he doesn't have the knowledge to play the run or drop back in coverage. Jesus, criminy. What are you thinking? At least know what to do. By the way, the press conferences for all these players talking are at Eagles.com or on X. Anyone can read them or anyone can watch them. Darius Slay. Let's get to him. He said one of the hardest camps they've had. He was more talking about the weather and the hard work. He says there's great energy out on the field right now. He says all the young kids, man, he loves them. They're out there working hard, asking a lot of questions. We're answering a lot of questions. I got to tell you something. When you're in training camp and you're asking people questions, nobody wants to help you make a team. There's only 53 chairs in the world in 32 cities. I'm not helping you get better. I got to make the team myself. But when you have that dynamic, that's a good thing. A lot of teams don't have that. I'm not giving a shit. You think I'm helping the D tackle next to me when he may be taking my spot? No, thank you. Not happening. When you've got veteran guys that don't worry about losing their gig or their spot in their locker room, that's a plus. When you got a guy like Slay back there, that's good. That's a good thing. And he's helping them. He says Q talks trash in a respectful way. He goes, I love Vic's schemes and personalities. Says, whatever he wants us to do, we're going to do it because it's all about winning ball games because that's how he looks at it. It's a great competitive secondary. I think it would be. I do. I think it would be. I think it would be. He's like this. One of the things I'm looking forward to is potentially being captain for a third straight year. Darius Slay has been a fabulous Eagle acquisition by Howie Roseman. He's been a fabulous, fabulous acquisition. Pro Bowl every year. He's been a team leader. He talks trash. It's okay. And he produces. Slay will go down as one of Howie's best pro personnel decisions. He's been a quintessential pro. You cannot knock the move and the trade. Patricia was the one you look at. Okay. I'm okay. Or you says he's been okay, Sills. No, he made the Pro Bowl 3 years in a row. He's made the Pro Bowl 3 years in a row. What other football player do you have on defense that has made the Pro Bowl 3 years in a row? Can you name me a football player in the last 10 years that's made the Pro Bowl 3 years in a row outside of Fletcher Cox? And you don't have anybody on that team right now. He's the most established player on your defense. Been okay? Well, then if he's just been okay, you've been horseshit on defense. Let's go to Dallas Goedert. 111. Thank you, guys. Please hit the like button. You guys are killing it. 111 likes in the first hour. Awesome. Thank you. Let's go to Dallas Goedert. It's been hot and it's been hard. Some really great battles in camp. He said when you have really great competition on both sides of the ball, you're seeing it play itself out. By the way, see what I'm saying to you about that Tim McManus article? And right now, you're moving forward. Hey, that's old news to the Eagles. That story is for your media in Philly, not me, because I was ahead of the game. And the national guys that are just catching up with Sirianni being the shitty coach he is. I've been telling you Nick Sirianni's a shitty coach every single day. Now the national folks and the local folks are starting to see that too. You're welcome. Grant Calcaterra is having a really good camp. I think he's had a really great offseason. Dallas thinks he's going to be used more in the red zone. Okay. Had a really great Thursday practice last week. There's that word accountability. This all has to be a result of them talking about what went down in 23 for them to keep using that. Okay. Where would we all be without Sills brings the facts a year in advance? You're welcome. He said Devontae Smith is such a pro, getting better and better and better and better and better and better. I'm going to make a comparison to you. I think Devontae Smith, when everything is said and done in his career, it will rival Marvin Harrison. It will rival Marvin Harrison and somewhere in that room. And I think Marvin Harrison was an underappreciated and underrated great NFL wideout. Okay? I think you've got Marvin Harrison on your team. That's who I think he is. And for me, that's quite a compliment. For a guy I said, he's a schwimp. By the way, congratulations. I'm wrong. Way to go, Smitty. I'm wrong. Congratulations. Jalen Hurts. Actually, let's do a little bit of Kenny Pickett first. Kenny Pickett's in the battle for the backup quarterback spot. He says the terminology issue's been hard for him. He's got to unlearn what he did in Pittsburgh. I told you terminology is one of the most important things that you can have a football team flounder over. That's why when I was telling you from day one, Kellen bringing in new terminology sheets for Hurts, why? Make it simple for Jalen. Okay? The coordinator should change, not Jalen Hurts. Make it simpler for him. How'd that taste coming out of your mouth? Christopher, what success? Pretty good. Being right? Outstanding. Kind of like a mint julep. The Big Sills mint julep. Yeah, being right tastes good. Thank you. It was wonderful. Said the versatility in the offense, you can see it. He said one of the cool things about the offense is that they have a lot of runs now in there for quarterbacks. He said Kellen really does a nice job of moving around everybody, talking to all the quarterbacks. He said the quarterback room is fantastic. He said Hurts is helping everybody in the room. Okay? There's great competition. Everyone's having a good camp. I'm talking about your Devontae Smith comment. That one was a little tart because I had to admit I was wrong. Is that what you're saying, Christopher? Okay, so maybe it was a little spicy that I was wrong that he, okay, I see your point, Christopher. Thank you, too, for the super chat. Okay, I got it now. Okay, yeah, was a little tart. Yes. Okay. Christopher's starting to get to know Big Sills. Way to go. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about Tanner McKee because I don't really care about him. Let me get to Jalen Hurts. Here's Jalen Hurts. First question out of the gate. So he called Wink Martindale. And Jalen, first question, was kind of taken back. He's like, why would you call Wink Martindale right after you lost to the Giants in the final game of the regular season prior to the playoff game? And he goes, well, I'm always trying to improve my football IQ. And I wanted to know some of the things that he saw. By the way, in the article, it said he talked to him for about an hour and a half. Guys, please hit the like button. He knew the blitz was going to come in that game, and he thinks the blitz is going to come early in the season. And, you know, talking to a guy like Wink Martindale, there's nothing wrong with that. I just found the timing weird. You were in a 6-game meltdown. You had killed the Bucks earlier in the year. Didn't you have the coaching in the building that you could go to? Couldn't you? So he couldn't have trusted Desai or Patricia to go to, or even his own offensive coaches to go to. You went to the enemy's defensive coordinator and Wink Martindale and asked him how he had great success. Martindale said this. Well, we knew we had great success against them. No, not 2 hours later, dickhead. I'm talking about Jalen Hurts' press conference today. Try to stay focused, Junior. Might help you out a little bit. These are the questions he was asked today. That's all I'm commenting on. This ain't my take. This is what he answered. This guy doesn't want to go over what Hurts was addressing today. How funny is that? Right? I mean, how funny is that? This was Hurts today, not 2023. Says, how since the defense is going to catastrophic, how many points do Eagles need to score? And how will Kellen get this offense to control time? Got to run the ball, man. You totally have to run the football. Okay? You completely have to run the football. I want to read you some of the Wink Martindale quotes. By the way, Wink Martindale is now the defensive coordinator in Michigan. He said this, with the playoffs approaching and the hunt for improvement, Hurts made an unusual move. He called the defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale, who had parted ways. Okay, Xander, you're right. He had parted ways following Week 18. You're right, Xander. I've been doing this for 40 years since Martindale, now the coordinator of Michigan. And it's the first time I've had an opposing quarterback. And it's the first time I've had an opposing quarterback call me up. I thought it was pretty cool that the guy called. It shows what kind of pro he really is. He's looking at every angle that he can get better. The phone call lasted about an hour and a half. About a half an hour. I'm wrong there. Half an hour. Martindale told ESPN they discussed weaknesses in Philly's protection and how New York tried to game plan him. It was very effective, and he knew it. And he just wanted to know why he did certain things that we did. Then we went to work on that, Martindale said. They were not committed to the run, Martindale said, of the Eagles offense. They weren't committed to the quarterback runs. They were trying to throw the ball way too much and on early downs. He goes, by the way, what are you having Devontae Smith block on checkdowns or on a bubble screen, 3rd and 19? That makes no sense. These are some of the things we went over. And so Hurts today was asked that. Finally, he looked over. He goes, why is this relevant right now? And this is kind of how I opened my show today. It's not. And I think McManus being in the room went, well, I wanted to know how we got from there to here. Fair. Not wrong with that. Tim wrote a year-old story. See how the media tries to make that shit relevant to now? And it's not. I agree with it. We'll see how the Eagles handle it moving forward. Jalen goes, why is that relevant right now? And he answered it, and then you could tell he was perturbed by it. Why is that a big deal that I called Wink Martindale a year ago about a playoff game? I'm right now, my feet are here. I mean, why is that a deal? Because it's an indictment on Nick. And Jalen knew right then and there he had to be careful in how he answered that. And so he kind of shut it down. Right thing to do. It was the right thing to do by the quarterback. Was. He said, I've got so many great relationships. By the way, I have a great relationship with Wink Martindale. And when he was asked the question about trust and all that, he goes, I trust the owner. I trust Kellen. I trust Nuss. And I trust Nick. Nick's the last guy on that list. Hey, Spike, I don't give a fuck how you heard the interview. I'm telling you how I heard it. And you can go back and listen to it. I thought he was perturbed by the question. And I agree with him. Had no relevance. Okay? Seals, would you rather have Devontae or CD? They're two different players, man. One's a slot, one's a numbers guy. I think they're both fine ball players. One guy can handle more volume. And more guy handles more traffic in the slot. I don't think, though, that CD could play on the numbers and have the same numbers that he has sitting out there on the numbers. I think Devontae could go inside on the numbers and get you numbers. Okay? I do. Guys, please hit the like button. This is something that he said that you got to keep an eye on. When asked the question about protection, he said this: it's a brand new role. It's a role that I've been waiting for. We've had a player in here that's a Hall of Fame guy, but this is something that I've been waiting to do myself. So he's embracing this. I think Cam Jurgens is not going to be setting protection as much as people think. I think the quarterback is going to be setting it 90% of the time. And that's going to have to be recognizing blitzes. That's going to be on Jalen. Okay? Jalen has taken what? Get this. This right here is exactly some of the stuff that Tim McMahon has pointed out about having more guardrails on Hurts. By the way, you guys remember the wide receivers? When was it, Xander? Was it early in camp? Or was it in the OTAs and minicamp? Remember what the receivers came out and said? Yeah, we don't have handcuffs on us in this offense. Now you're hearing Kellen say Jalen's got almost complete control of this. They've taken the Nick Sirianni guardrails down and the training wheels off. All of this now makes sense. No question. Nick had to bend over to keep his job. The thing that saved it was he said yes. And the only reason he's still the head coach is Doug Peterson. And this team is moving forward. And guess who's bringing up the rear? Nick. He's the caboose. Jalen's now the engine of the team. He's the engine. You got co-head coaches, Vic, Kellen, and Nick. All right, we're going to take a timeout. We're going to switch some gears here. Going to talk to Philly 500 about this. Also to the Dallas Cowboys and Mark Holmes Battle Royale every Wednesday. Philly 500 is with us. Hit the like button. By the way, where are we in the like list right now? Where are we? You guys have been killing it, and I can't thank you guys enough for what you guys have done, man. Really cool. 155 likes. That's fantastic. We have a shot at 300 today. Speaking of that, don't forget, Philly 500's right around the corner. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your green house? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. We appreciate you guys coming aboard. Gardner Johnson is back out there again. It's a good sign. I really like, let me expand to the future the Tim McManus article to apply it to 24. The organization obviously knew that they made a mistake in giving a lot of autonomy to Nick Sirianni. And they pulled back a little bit of his responsibilities. And they took more control of the team. Is that a good or bad thing? You can't argue with the success the team has had the last 3 years. You see, you have to put this all in context, and you have to be fair. And get this, the result has to matter. You just can't make a blanket comment. You can't make a blanket comment and go, well, everything they're doing blows. It's not true. That's absolutely not true. Because the success is, without a doubt, the success of the team, they've made the playoffs every year. They've won an NFC championship in the last 3 years. That has to be part of it. You just can't talk about half the book. Remember how I tell you guys want to pick and choose and say, well, they did go 10-1. And just like you guys say, you're going to evaluate them for the last couple months of the year when they went 1-7. No, I look at the entire 17-game season. It was a seesaw. It was a seesaw. So does this mean that Nick did have autonomy and wasn't Howie's puppet? Can't have it both ways. JM, I think he did have some say in the elevating of Brian Johnson. And I think there was some say in the fact that Desai was brought in because he was recommended by, believe it or not, Vic Fangio. He's a disciple of him. By the way, you're not going to see a lot different things from what you saw with Sean Desai. I'm not sure that's a bad thing. He was 10-2 and beat all those fabulous quarterbacks last year. I mean, you could say whatever you want about Sean Desai. He had 2 bad games. Your football team lost to inferior teams, and he didn't lose to Seattle. That wasn't his call. He didn't lose to New York. Wasn't his call. He didn't lose to Arizona. Wasn't his call. This guy beat the Chiefs. This guy beat the Chiefs. So you can't make that comment. But once again, you look at it this way here. So now all of a sudden the national media is going, and now they're taking this story. Now we have to try to apply it as the relationship gotten better with Jalen and Nick. I completely think it's irrelevant. Just listen to Hurts talking. But the question mark will come down. Remember one of the topics I gave you? It wasn't, my concern wasn't the relationship between Jalen and Nick. It was between Nick and Kellen. That's where the dynamic is going to have some issues. The communication between the both. You really think Nick Sirianni being a play caller in all the years that he's been in the league is not going to suggest something during a game? He's not going to. What does Kellen do? Do you put Kellen in a poor position? Do you put him in that poor position where you suggest something? What's Kellen going to do as the OC? Say no? Or is he going to go okay? Because then you're back to where you were a year ago. Philly 500 is going to join us here in a second. We hope to catch up with him. Dallas Cowboys are in camp right now. And I got to say, man, Cowboy camp right now has been a little bit different, according to Steven and people that are there, because you know what they're doing right now? They got very few local media outlets from around the country like they used to always invite. And now what they're doing select relationship ones like from Dallas and NFL relationship ones, because they're not opening this bad puppy up, because I think there's more stuff going on in Dallas right now with all these contracts, and they don't want a narrative to get out of hand here, especially with the CD contract with Dak. On top of that, you got the drama going on in Philly. This is going to make for a great football season. And without further ado, the Wednesdays, we got Mark in Oxnard. He joins us now, and we have the legendary Philly 500.
Oh, Lord.
Who is here with us now, and we have the threesome that we so covet. Good afternoon to you, fellas.
What's happening, Jules?
All good, man. I mean, let's start it out with you first, Philly. First off, Mark, how is camp going in Oxnard for the Cowboys?
Camp is different than what it's been in past years. You've talked about the numbers. Everybody's been going crazy. But before we go any further here, I want you to understand, I'm actually in LA today taking care of some business. Gotcha. Unlike other people that have to do things with their daughter, I show up anytime, anywhere to do my duty. See, I'm helping my baby.
Is he talking to you, Sills? Because I know he ain't talking to me, because I'm not under contract.
I'm not under contract.
Show up. Yes,
I'm not under contract either, bro.
You sign your name on the dotted line. You send me. Guess what? Every Wednesday,
to sign my name on the dotted line would be that I was getting something out of it.
Get the hell out of here. I am not under contract. I'm a free agent.
I'm not under contract either.
You are. You're under contract.
I'm not.
You signed on the dotted line. Don't lie.
Love you two guys.
Don't lie.
And, all right, Philly, let me start with you. What'd you make of the Tim McManus? And again, you and me have been saying this shit for a year. It's like the Philly media is a day late and $1 short. We all knew this, but to me, I took away from that article about Nick Sirianni and the fractured relationship between the head coach. I took that as this is an explanation why Nick is in the position he is right now, more so than an indictment on Jalen Hurts. Do you believe Hurts went to management and had Nick Sirianni put in that sandbox?
I don't know if he went to management. I mean, I actually thought it was a good article. It's just 4 months too late. Like, we've been dealing with this for how long? It's like kind of over with. I'm done with it. No big deal. I watched those two guys smiling and having a good time, driving around in the golf cart the other day. Whatever happened, it's over with. They've moved forward. I don't know why we have to keep talking about it. To me, the most interesting part of the article is what happened about him calling Wink Martindale. That, to me, was, I thought, the most fascinating thing. I'm just wondering why, if he's calling Wink Martindale, why don't we give him a defensive coordinator job?
Hey, that's absolutely a great take. And hey, Mark, we have a special message for you here, just so you know that's how well you're loved when you come on here on Wednesday. That's a great call, but
when you
let me
come
just show you
contract.
something here, though, Philly. I'm gonna say this to you.
Can you do me a favor? Hold on. Can you do me a favor? Can you put in there a poll? If Mark Holmes should be on here weekly, should he stay or should he go? Okay, just let me know. Just let me know one way or another.
Well, you're under contract.
I'm not
Are you
sure.
crying like the Cowboy fan? Are you crying now? Is that what you're?
I'm not crying. I'm just like I ain't got it.
They can sue you.
You know, I got better things I could be doing, like playing in the highway. I mean, if I'm going to take that kind of abuse.
Okay, well, I'm going to be
under
fair
contract.
to you here now. You know what, Mark? I watch your training camp, and I've been talking to folks up there. That thing looks like a shit show going on. You're winning 5 ball games.
Well, who did they sign today?
Oh, buddy, you know what? Keep believing that if you want
winning
to.
5 games.
I'm going to tell you, I've seen some things that make me feel better about my team. Believe it or not.
Though? Mark, who did they sign?
They signed a linebacker from
oh wow,
Albert Higgins.
That was the big signing. Who the hell's Albert Higgins?
Again, you know what? When you got some studs already in camp, when you can draft well, it's not about having to, go out and get a whole lot of players.
You draft well. You mean like fucking Lazy Smith?
Lazy Smith. Oh man.
Yeah,
okay.
Like Lazy Smith.
I hear you. I hear you.
He went all the way up to Oxnard, and nobody's there. And he's paid him high taxes.
I heard that.
High
Nobody's
gas
there.
prices.
Well,
Nobody's there.
Actually, let me clarify that.
The Bob Higgins guy they just signed, the linebacker Bob Higgins, whatever.
He's T. Higgins.
Albert Higgins.
Albert Higgins. Whoa, Albert Higgins.
He's T. Higgins' step cousin.
Dude, I heard he's smaller than Nakobe Dean.
Yeah, but I bet you he's got more tackles this season than Nakobe Dean.
Oh yeah, that's why he was a free agent until today. Yeah.
Well, you know, it won't be long before he's going to be a free agent there too, buddy. Nakobe.
Mark, help me out. Help make me feel the Cowboys are going to be a contender in the NFC East.
Well, I tell you one thing, because see, you guys all talk about my number 1 draft pick from last year. I can't guarantee that he's going to be a great player, but here's the thing I'm going to tell you. No, you can laugh all you want to. No, I tell you what. He has actually impressed me by the fact that I was actually there at training camp and practice at 10 o'clock yesterday. At 10:15, when the punter was out there, Mozzie was on that field working with the defensive line coach.
Congratulations
that guy was
on not robbing a bank.
No, I'm telling you, this guy right now, when you look at how his body has developed, you look at his attitude on the field. I got a chance to talk to him yesterday. He is like a sponge. You can go ahead all you want and just say, oh, yeah, Mozzie pad, Mozzie this. He's the bust. I'm going to tell you, he's turning that narrative around. He has got the right attitude, and he is putting in the work right now to become a legitimate.
They have a guy on the Eagles named Ojimo who's better than that guy.
Okay. You want to put money on that one? Let's see if Bet USA will go ahead and take odds on who's better on that one.
Wait, I'll tell you a little bit about Philly 500. Here's Lazy Smith, and here's what Mike Zimmer said about him the other day. You know, he's doing the right things. He's in position. He's not going to make any flash plays, but he's
they
there.
Don't need him to.
You're not going to notice some of the things he does, but he's there for you. And I was like this guy's describing a 5th rounder.
Right? No.
Some guy who's a 5th rounder. You're not describing Jalen Carter or Jordan Davis.
You know,
Jordan Davis is fat ass every day. Your guy Bro, he's
Dan,
got
I
to
thought
make
you.
plays.
Wait a minute. Wait. Hold on, Dan. I thought you literally was one of the big guys in the middle that understand the job. Because see, you sound like one of those fantasy football guys out there that are looking for him to make 100 tackles and 15
I just
sacks.
want him to make 8 plays.
All I need him to do is exactly what I've seen him doing in camp. Taking on double teams and not giving up ground. Learning how to do the quick swim and the club of the shoulder to be able to occupy space. If he can occupy space, especially with what they're doing right now with Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons won't be just an edge rusher.
You should hear this guy complain about Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis didn't get 10 sacks, and Jordan Davis did only this. Jordan Davis is good stopping the
Jordan Davis is on the sideline sucking air. That's what Jordan Davis is doing a lot of.
Mozzie Smith, and you're giving him every excuse. Well, my guy was out there 10 minutes early. You should see his body. I was getting all turned on by his chest hair. I mean, what the hell is that,
And in the 3 years, will we see an improvement of your guy? My guy's got nowhere to go but up.
Yeah, my guy just needs to be better conditioned. But when
he's
my
actually
guy's
having
on
a good
field,
camp.
Better
really,
conditioned.
Really
so my guy is out there actually working. My guy's out there working on his condition, getting in shape and stuff. And you say your guy just needs to. Guess what? My guy is actually doing that.
We should give Dan Sileo. We should give him the background story on Jordan Davis, so you understand the truth. Mark for months. Every video was Dak Prescott, and we're going to draft Jordan Davis. We want Jordan Davis.
No, I didn't say we were going to. I said I would like to get him.
All he talked about Jordan Davis. When the Eagles drafted him, he stinks. He ain't nobody. He ain't nothing. Yeah. Come on. You're
the same guy that says that your secondary is going to be better than the Cowboys.
It is going to be better. It is. That's not a surprise. What do you got? Diggs out there on one leg? Of course we're going to be better.
Not just Diggs there, buddy.
Bland's overrated.
I will take our backups over your starters on the secondary there, buddy.
And that's why you're going to lose again.
Are you concerned that here's the comments that Vic Fangio's making of Bryce Huff? And Bryce Huff, even today or yesterday it was when he was talking, yeah, it's a work in progress, me playing the run. I haven't been really asked to drop back in coverage. This is something new. I mean, you spent $50 million on him, and I haven't seen him at all. And he hasn't really been said at all. Are you concerned that here's the guy that's supposed to replace 29 sacks in the last 2 years in Hassan Reddick, and he's not even showing up in camp, dude? I mean, it's a big deal here.
I would have kept Reddick. I mean, we've talked about that, but I will see. I don't know what to expect from him. I'm more in the wait and see mode with Huff. I don't think in terms like Fangio, I guess. I don't look at him and go, well, you brought him into play to go into coverage or even play the run great. Like he's coming to get the quarterback. So is he going to go out there and is he going to get to the quarterback? That's the question we'll have to see. But he's not. He's by all means he's not where he needs to be because Fangio has said such. But I mean, we'll see.
Hey, Mark, has Dak Prescott come to the realization, because I have, that he will not be any longer a Dallas Cowboy at the end of this season? And by the way, have you had your Terry Knights, and have they gone away now where you're now in a position where you know that your love child is no longer going to be on the Cowboys come January? I mean, this is going to make for a tough time to be able to do all those videos on Mrs. Prescott when she's no longer going to be under center in Dallas. Have you come to that conclusion?
It's funny that you say that because if it is, it may be. It could very well be.
It is.
It's not affecting Dak Prescott one bit because I tell you what, if you go through the Cowboys quarterback, Dak Prescott looks like an assassin right now. He is hitting guys, and with CeeDee Lamb not being there, you're beginning to see some of these other guys. Watch Jalen Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert is going to be really good. He will be our second best wide receiver on the roster if CeeDee Lamb is started. In hell, he might have to be our number one. But you have a great group of guys that Dak is actually hitting left and right. You got Cooper Rush, who is a backup, and then you've got Trey Lance, who is very, very, very raw.
He's having a horrible camp, Mark. Tell the truth.
I trust me, and that's so much for him being the linchpin of getting Dak Prescott signed cheap. But Dak is not showing any signs of, I'm not worried about shit. As soon as practice is over, it's actually a beautiful thing to see him with his daughter, Mary Jane, holding on to her. He literally looks like he's just soaking in all of this. So if this is the last ride, he's okay with it because he knows at the end of the day, somebody is going to pay me a boatload of money. And if the Dallas Cowboys end up letting him go, it'll be the biggest mistake that they ever made.
You know why Dak Prescott's cool, calm, and collective, Stills? Because the playoffs haven't started. If it was the playoffs, he'd be a nervous wreck, throwing interceptions, choking. He'll choke when it matters the most. Dak Prescott will choke.
Let me ask you a question here,
Philly. Are you saying there won't be a big market for him? There was a big market.
No, there will be
Cousins.
because he puts up statistics in the regular season. But no matter where Dak Prescott goes, the one thing that he has to prove at this point, more than anything else, is he's got to prove that he can win in the playoffs. I don't care where he goes. He has to show me he can win in the playoffs. He hasn't done that. He has not looked good in the playoffs. So,
you know what? Actually,
there.
Let me actually flip this around a little bit because, people look at this like Mike McCarthy's, he's on the hot seat and everything else. I'll tell you, Mike McCarthy looks about as calm, cool, and relaxed as could be because I dare say this. This is actually the way I look at it. Maybe I'm wrong. But if you're Mike McCarthy,
$14 million a year, Mark, you're going to be cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah, but thinking that I don't have another contract with the Cowboys. If you're Mike McCarthy after what happened in Green Bay, it's kind of like revisionist history now because now people are looking and saying Aaron Rodgers was a prick. How are you going to win with this guy with Aaron Rodgers with what he's done here? Here it is, Mike McCarthy, who's got a 4th-round drafted quarterback who was runner-up MVP, and he's calling the plays. You may actually see a situation where, fine, don't sign me, that you see Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy as a package deal for one of these downtrodden teams that would die to have that combination out there. So that's why I look at it and say, for those guys, is it the worst thing if I lose my job in Dallas? I'm going to have people pounding down my door to give me a job. And maybe, just maybe, I'm better off getting away from the Joneses. You look at the totality of the last 30 years, the Cowboys, it's not like they've been winning Super Bowls. This has been the best, regardless of what you think. The Cowboys have been consistently in 30 years.
Mark, I think that I could see this. If Wilson doesn't work out and Justin Fields, I don't care what they're saying about him. Justin Fields is what he is. He's Tyrod Taylor, but faster. You put Dak in Pittsburgh and they get Ayuk in there. And they got that guy Pickens on the other side and Najee Harris. And you're working with Mike Tomlin. Hey, let me just say this to you though, Philly. I know you're rolling your eyes on that, but you have Kellen Moore, who was Dak Prescott's offensive coordinator. And if you're so high on Kellen being his coordinator, Kellen was responsible for what Dak is right now, where he's going to get $60 million. I mean, Mike McCarthy was also involved in the development. I mean, you can't go well, it's all Dak. Hang on. You can't go, it's all Dak in Dallas, and then turn around and go, well, why did the Eagles hire Dak Prescott's offensive coordinator?
No. The question with Dak Prescott isn't that he hasn't put up good numbers in the regular season. He has. The question about Dak Prescott and what my argument is regardless whether Kellen Moore's there or not, whether you have the same coach or not, that Dak Prescott has been the consistent guy.
How do you know that's not poor coaching though?
Well, okay, so you had McCarthy, you had the coach they had before it, you had Kellen Moore, now you have another offensive coordinator. So it's everybody else but Dak Prescott. There's one consistent person that's there always at the quarterback position. It's Dak. You've changed coaches, you changed offensive coordinators, and you still have the same results when the playoffs come. When the big game comes, Dak Prescott loses. He lost as the number 1 seed. He's lost as a number 2 seed. So to me, look, I'm not saying Kellen Moore's the greatest offensive coordinator or perfect. What I'm saying is they have taught Dak and put Dak in positions. Dak has great numbers every year. But when the pressure is on, when it's playoff time, he can't even find CeeDee Lamb. They're fighting in the first quarter because he's so off and discombobulated because I think he's a choker. That's all I'm saying.
Interesting. So let's say hypothetically, your guy who you think is the greatest thing since Joe Montana What if the offense crashes and burns with Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott ends up having a great season again? Is it Kellen Moore who made it, or is the consistent? Here's the thing that's kind of interesting is he's had Scott Linehan, he's had Kellen Moore, he's had Mike McCarthy. For the most part, the Dallas Cowboys every year have been a top 5 offense.
Yeah, but in the playoffs, they don't win. Mark, every year in the playoffs, they lose.
And guess what, Philly?
You ignore that. You ignore that.
And Philly, you ignore the fact that you look at my team right now and you started out the whole conversation laughing because we signed Albert Higgins. That's the big signing that you guys did.
I was
it's
laughing
not
because,
apples to oranges.
I was
when
laughing
your team,
because,
hold on, wait. Do you look at this and say that Saquon Barkley is better than Zeke Elliott?
Yeah.
Okay, right?
He is.
Okay. Exactly. And your team decided that's the guy we're going to kind of go out and get, right? When you went out there and got A.J. Brown,
Zeke Elliott?
What did we do? We got rid of CeeDee Lamb. I'm sorry, we got rid of Mari Cooper. So you can't look and say, you've got all this talent, Dallas is ass, and that it's the same thing. It's not the same thing.
I don't even understand what you're talking about.
Now, wait a minute.
Lord. You don't, because you got too much shit between the ears.
No, I'm going to show you.
What you're saying is, though, Mark, you're trying to penalize the Eagles for consistently putting good people around.
Not trying to penalize them at all.
What they're doing is they're evaluating Dak and elevating Dak way too much more than what his value is. Here's the problem with Micah, with CeeDee, and with Dak, and here's your biggest problem. They are not Michael Irvin. They are not Troy Aikman. And they are not Emmitt Smith.
You know what? But whoa. Let's go back here for a second, though.
You're not.
And guess what? That offensive line is not the Great Wall of Dallas either.
Okay. So what?
And let me also go. That defense is not the defense that we had out there either, with Charles Haley, with Woodson, with all of those guys.
Paying for people who are not going to deliver for you and not building in the right positions.
Well, I was hoping that we could ask Stephen Jones that tomorrow when I was going to see you and things, because you blame the player. Because here's what happens. This is why I actually think that Dak Prescott will be re-signed. For no other reason is he's taking the bullets for the Joneses. The Joneses literally all off season have done nothing, including signing their best players. When it comes to the playoffs, when we don't have the horses in the fight like the Eagles go do, like the San Franciscos go do, they're not going to look back and say, Jerry Jones, you screwed the pooch because you did not have a quality running back. You did not have a good enough defensive lineman. You did not have linebackers on the team. What they're going to do is they're going to say, Dak Prescott, you're the reason why. He's a bum. Get rid of him. And that's the reality of why the Joneses, he turns the needle. He's the most talked about player in the NFL. Why would I get rid of the Golden Goose?
Mark, do you think you have a top 5 roster in the NFC right now?
Top 5. It depends on what happens with a lot of guys that are unknowns. And this is where it's always funny because people will go through and say, well, this team was good last year. Everybody's on the Houston bandwagon. Yes, they made some moves, but you may see a second-year slump. People were on last year. The New York Giants, oh my God, Daniel Jones has turned a quarter, and all of a sudden, boom, they fall flat on your head. You have to, see who gets there healthy and see who actually is able to step up. We have players that we have lost. And I'm not avoiding the answer. Do I think do
you think right now they're a top 5 team?
In the NFC?
Yes.
In the NFC, I'd say actually yes. Yes. Because some of our stars are helping to elevate the roster and stuff. Because when you've got a Zach Martin, but the thing is the Cowboys always are top heavy with really good talent, okay? But if you have top heavy and you lose a Tyron Smith and you go to a Chaz Green, you're not the same team. And that's the problem of being top heavy. You need to have about 30 guys that are all really, really good. So if I lose one piece, I'm not going from one of the top players in the NFL to a guy that shouldn't be on an NFL roster.
To you, Philly, I say this and I still say this. Vic Fangio came out the other day and said this. He goes, we need to have good linebacker play, and right now we don't. How much of a concern is that for you when you look at that defense, and he's actually pointing that out right now. He doesn't really have, and it's not set in stone. They're still shuffling the deck, and it's a big concern right now. And it looks like they're going to go to a 5-man front. That means 2 inside backers.
Yeah, well, that's what I expected they were going to do. I think that the linebacker is a definite concern. I like Devin White, and I think Devin White's going to have a good year. And I like what I've seen from him so far. But Zach Bond was signed to be like a special teams guy. And the fact that he's coming in and he's pretty much starting right now, I'm very worried about Nakobe Dean. To me, he should be winning this job, and he's not. So I'm worried about that on that front. But at the same time, this is what the Eagles do with the linebackers. So we'll have to see. I'm hoping Trotter Jr. will turn out to be pretty good. I think he's playing decent. He's slowly moving up the depth chart.
He's getting reps.
And I like that. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Now, maybe, look, we haven't played one preseason game. Maybe we go to preseason and Nakobe Dean shows up. But right now, it's a disappointment that he does not have that job. Maybe Bond, maybe he's something Fangio sees in him. We'll see how it plays out. But, I think that it's fair to say that the two positions of concern are what those edge rushers are going to do and the linebacker. Those are the two areas that I do worry about. Yeah.
All right. Last question for both guys. Mark, what do you want to see in the first exhibition game this year with the Cowboys going into this weekend?
Well, actually, here's what I'm actually going to say, because with the NFL looking to go to 18-game seasons, preseason is really, it's nothing. You're not going to see any starters or anything like that.
But these are quality rep for your younger guys.
It is quality rep.
I will actually say
what I will actually say will be what I'm actually really want to see is practice tomorrow against the Rams, because that's basically the real work that you're going to see with your number one stuff. So that controlled scrimmage, I want to see actually Jalen Tolbert, if Jalen Tolbert is the guy that I think that he is becoming. Because looking at him from when he was a rookie 2 years ago and seeing him this year, seeing him literally have matured, you could just see it in his face and his body and everything else, and not looking lost on the field. I want to see, and you're going to laugh, Rico Gathers, how he's running, because he's looking really, really quick as far as that go. And of course, I want to see how Tyler Guyton is going to look on the offensive line.
Do they got a wheelchair for Zeke?
There's a misconception on that, because when he went through the dummies there and he's carrying the two balls, okay, people thought he was so tired that he fell down. He was carrying two balls and got hit in the balls, in which case he dropped the two balls so he could take care of the other ball.
Dude, they need to put him in an Egyptian museum. He's a relic.
I love it.
What are you talking about? Philly, what do you want to see this exhibition season? I find that game on Friday weird because you're going to play the Ravens in week 12 or 13.
Yeah.
So, here we're not going to really show anything, but what do you want to see this weekend?
Oh, where do I begin? Where do I begin? The Eagles preseason is going to be fascinating, because it's not even about the starters. It's about all the other battles. You got battles at the wide receiver. What I want to see, who's going to take that number 3 wide receiver? Paris Campbell is sitting there, and he's got a hurt groin. That hurts him. Covey is making a play, and this rookie Johnny Wilson, 6'7", is going out there to get reps. I want to see that. I want to see the linebackers. I want to see how these secondary guys look. We're deep at corner, man. We got some young guys and a lot of talent. I don't know, Sills. I'm going to be watching the fourth quarter really intrigued, because I got a team that has talent from top to bottom, unlike Mark, who's going to be looking for Louis Higgins to play some linebacker. You know what I mean?
And Spider Rico to run the ball.
Yeah, I'm streaming the game on Friday. I'll be there. Yeah, Spider Rico, Bobby Higgins.
Spider Rico. Okay.
When Kendrick said they could wheel him out, Zeke's eating some donuts on the sideline.
Hey, Mark, try Roscoe's in L.A. You'll like it. Chicken in
Roscoe's chicken and waffles. Yeah.
You know why I was laughing at the signing? Because I saw Mark, before I came on, I saw on his channel, it said, Cowboys make huge signing. And I'm thinking, what did they get? And
he's 320 pounds. That's huge.
Higgins guy.
He's signed.
I'm like,
that's not
huge
signing. Okay.
That's why
you were
I'm
signing
laughing.
DJ Mosley, and
that's why I
was
laughing. Because it's like, who? That's a big signing? Man,
You guys act like
so
this isn't every season,
He's
good
so
people.
deprived of moves and things to talk about. That's
Hey, Mark,
a
are
huge
you
signing.
starting to believe that Eagle fans are a little bit now over delusional themselves?
Oh my God. You know what? The only thing that keeps me sane and coming on the show is waiting to watch the meltdown. I can't wait to come in here after you guys lose a game. I literally can't wait. I'm going to go ahead, bide my time, lay in wait here, okay? And then I'm going to go bam and get you.
You're not going to go bam because you're going to be miserable too, because the weeks we lose, you're going to be losing too. You're going to lose a lot of games this year.
Okay, I hear you talking. I hear you talking, but I'm going to tell you, we're going to be all right.
Hey, Mark,
we're going to be all right.
Mark, let's get on the phone after the show today. I'll reach out to you and I'll call you and I'll let you know the latest on what's going on. The Cowboys, man, that guy Thoreau, the director of media, man, Brad Sham. I was supposed to have his ass on today, the voice of the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't even put him on until next week. So I don't know. They got him in. I guess there's a lot of press out there right now this afternoon for their practice. So they're in practice sessions right now. So I'll let you know what's going on. Tell the folks how they can find you, brother.
Oh, definitely. Just JAKIB Sports Reporter, Mark Holmes. You'll find me on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all of the above. And apparently here on Wednesdays, getting the shit kicked out of me.
DaxLoveChild.com. That's where you can find them.
How about you, big guy? Tell them where.
Just type Philly 500 and I'll come right up. And you'll see me.
Spider Rico. Just remember that. Spider Rico runs the ball for the Cowboys.
Spider Rico.
Guys, I love you, man. I appreciate both you guys taking time out of your day, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you again. I appreciate it. Thank you, fellas.
See ya.
You got it. That is Mark, and that is, of course, our friend Philly 500, who brings it each and every single day. I think Philly 500 right now, I think he's got a streak like the Ravens in the preseason, 24 straight. I don't think that guy loses, man. Make sure you check him out. He is our good friend. Where are we on the like list right now? Uncle Rico. I love it. Where are we right now on the like list? Guys, you guys have been killing it, and I appreciate it very much. Hey, by the way, Kyle, that was a great pull by you with Spider Rico. We're at 200. Guys, 2 hours in, 200. Let's see if we can get that bad puppy up over 350. Wouldn't that be great? Appreciate you guys very much. Thank you. Fact Seals 500 undefeated. We're going to reset. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your green house? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sills National Football Show. Appreciate you guys. Guys were great in that last segment. Please hit the like button. Thank you guys again. Guys, absolutely bringing it. We appreciate it so much. I'm going to say something here before we reset here with the Eagles and moving forward and what I want to see. And you know what? I am going to take a look at a little bit what Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee said when they were addressing the media today, I think it was. So we'll hit a little bit up on that. Maybe it was yesterday, those two guys. I forget. Days are now going back and forth here. We're talking about 4 straight. Got to say this here, man. I'll tell you what, I think Justin Fields is going to win that job in Pittsburgh. And I like the way that, they're working him. But let's be candid here. One thing's for sure. Okay? One thing is for sure. Justin Fields is not going to get better. He is who he is. Monster became a YouTube member. Thank you so much, Monster. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much, man. We really appreciate that. So I'm going to go back into a little bit of what some of the players were saying here. I also dig, by the way, that commercial that Jalen Hurts did for LA 28. He threw that football into the cauldron there at the LA Coliseum. I thought that thing was pretty cool. Jalen's starting to get a little bit more national pub. He's starting to become more of one of the faces in the league. I can't wait to see how this really, I think 2024 is going to define him. Because who is he? 23 or 22? Is he closer to 23 or is he closer to 22? Is he somewhere in the middle? By the way, if he's somewhere in the middle, that's not good enough to win a Super Bowl. That's not close enough to win a Super Bowl. Niners all damn day keeps up with the Daily Eagle news. I have zero clue what the Rainbow 49ers are doing. The Niners are just going about their business because the Niners don't really have to do very much. They just got to get through camp healthy. Okay? They just got to get through camp healthy. Get Sills, he's 24. Dude, if you didn't, how many starts, Eduardo, how many starts did he have in Chicago? 40? 30? You don't know by now who he is? Now, again, they got better talent right now for Caleb Williams. That's for sure. Signing Moore, getting Keenan Allen, getting DeAndre Swift. They definitely are putting more talent around the quarterback. Okay? So, he's Jalen Hurts? I don't think so. Okay? Not at all. Guys, please hit the like button. You're absolutely killing it. I want to hit on something here. I wrote down my preseason division records. For August 7th, These are my division predictions for August 7th. Okay? Why is this guy counting wins from the 60s? Who? If Jalen uses the middle of the field and spreads the ball around, better pocket presence, we win the Super Bowl. Troy. Jalen Hurts will have nothing to do. Well, he will have something to do with you winning the Super Bowl. It's got to come down to that defense making stops. Pickett will be used as a trade later on. Maybe. Thank you, Wayne. Okay? Maybe. Madness, let's try to get to 250. I appreciate that, and we'll go north of that from there. Hey, by the way, Xander will be at the bottom of the hour here. So I made some big sales division picks here. And I'm going to start in the AFC. I'm going to start from the bottom up. Get the Patriots 3-14. I got the Jets 9-7-1. I got the Dolphins at 10-7. I got the Bills at 11-6. There's your division champions. AFC North, best division in pro football. Browns at 9-8. Steelers at 9-8. Bengals at 11-6. Ravens at 12-5. JM goes 11-6 with no receivers. Unlike your guy, JM. You got Josh Allen. AFC South. Titans 5-12. Colts 9-8. Jaguars 10-7. Texans 11-6. By the way, Yale, I got the Bengals in the Super Bowl against the Lions. So they come out of the wild card to make it. I just think the Ravens are more set up to be a regular season team and not a postseason team. AFC North or West. Raiders 4-13. Broncos 6-11. Chargers 10-7. Chiefs 12-5. Thank you, Marshall. Appreciate that, brother. That's really great of you. We'll reset at the top of the hour with the McManus story and also with some of the things Hurts said. NFC South. Panthers 3-14. Saints 7-10. Falcons 9-8. Bucks 10-7. NFC North, another great division. Vikings 8-9. Bears 9-8. Lions 11-6. Packers 11-6. Yale says Bryce Young a bust. Telling year on that. Carolina could be in the sweepstakes for another quarterback next year. Who would have thunk that? NFC West. By the way, let's do this. If the 49ers, a Niner all day, let Niner all day answer this, because I think the number one competition or one of the top competitions for the Eagles, according to you guys, is going to be the 49ers. 49ers, Niner all day. If they lose Brandon Ayuk to either Pittsburgh or they lose him to New England. Do they still win the West without Brandon Ayuk? Today they have him August 7th. Do they win the West? Okay? Do they win the West without Brandon Ayuk? Probably. More difficult. JM goes, New England's out. Dude, don't believe any organization that goes in the media and says anything like that. New England's out. Let me give you a little bit of insight from what I heard from people inside the Steeler organization. I know 4 coaches on the staff. The Steelers and the 49ers had a deal on the table. 2 teams came forward. There was a deal in structure for Brandon Ayuk to go to Pittsburgh. John Lynch parachuted in on the 23rd hour and voided the deal and put the deal on ice. He was an hour away from being dealt to Pittsburgh. Okay? Twiz goes, I know a guy on the staff. Okay, so Twiz wants me to be transparent. Alfredo Roberts, the tight end coach, played with me at the University of Miami. And Carl Dunbar, who's a friend of mine. Would you like to see a picture too, Twiz, of me and Dunbar together? Because I can show it to you. Would you like to see that too? In my home having dinner? You let me know. And I'll show you the picture, Twiz, of me and Carl Dunbar having dinner together when we were teammates. Would you like to see that too? See, unlike the shit you hear on the radio and stuff, or wherever, I come with receipts. So if you want to see, actually, folks, because, you know, it's not so much and so important for me with Twiz, because I know Twiz and I like Twiz. But Carl Dunbar is the defensive line coach for the Steelers. And he was a teammate of mine on the World League. And we've known each other for, God, forever. Here you go, Twiz. There's Carl Dunbar and Big Sills. That's the defensive line coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. How you doing? There's another picture. Carl right next to me. We're in Berlin here. Would you want to see a picture of Alfredo Roberts too, playing with me in Miami? You let me know. Receipts. I don't have in stories that you saw today anonymous sources. There's no such thing. Thank you. Hey, Twiz, I know you're busting my stones. Jack goes, y'all tell stories. I tell you who they told me the stories. I tell you who tells me the stories. Unlike the stories, anonymous sources. Anonymous sources. Who's that? His mom? Not stories from my past. Not stories, dude. Jack goes like this. I got stories. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, Jack, you know what? Those aren't really stories. Those are experiences, I like to call them. I've been lucky to be around and have great experiences. Sills, are there any linebacker Eagles can maybe take a trade and take a look at? Kyle, I'll do that tomorrow. Okay? I will. Sill is William Farrell from Elf. I know him. Oh, Prince will not get me with that. He thinks he's going to drag me into some sort of conflict with him. Oh, no. Elf? No. Let me put it to you this way, my friend. Prince, the only guy who's an elf in Philly is your GM. Howie's as tall as an elf. That's a great Elf Roseman. Oh my God. I better stop that because these guys will get a massive call on that one. Elf Roseman has to make a trade for a linebacker. I better stop because I'll be racist towards elves. Still, didn't you say Ayuk wasn't going? I still believe that he's not going anywhere. I find it hard to believe, Marshall, if they move him. I do. I find it hard to believe, man, if they do move him. Thank you guys for all the super chats today. You guys have been great. Best of 3. No way. Y'all lose to Penn State, but I got to admit, if Aikman didn't get hurt, that might have been a loss. Yeah, okay. Yeah, baby. Howie, Elf Roseman couldn't pick a defensive player to save his fucking life. And by the way, gotta love it, man. This guy's not loyal to anybody but Howie, Elf Roseman. Elf Roseman. Oh. Niner, I wouldn't go with this Kelsey attack. The Jurgens kid is good. I think he's legit too, man. I think he's got some good things about him. I really do. I do. How he suited up? Yeah, when Santa came to town. Yeah, with Santa. Hey, that's another thing, man. JM, let me ask you something here about your boy Hurts. Why wouldn't Jalen Hurts, instead of calling Wink Martindale, why didn't he go to Jeff Stoutland and ask him what happened with the blitz? In the New York game and in Arizona? Wink beat him on the blitz. Why wouldn't he go to Stoutland? Why would he think he has to call Wink Martindale? Spend a half an hour on the phone with him. Why didn't he go to Stoutland? Hey, no. Yale, when they have a Christmas Day party over at NovaCare, Howie sits on Santa's lap. No. Why didn't you call? No. Yale goes respect. I'm not saying he doesn't respect Wink Martindale. A lot of folks do. Why don't you first show respect to the guys that you have in your own building? And go to your own coaches. Do you not feel you have your own coaches inside the building? By the way, he said something in the press conference today that I thought was pretty telling. I've been waiting my time in line to call pass protections. Was he not happy with Jason Kelce? Nah, Sills, you owe me an apology, man. Every take I made turned what are you talking about? I said your coach was incompetent. I said they got away from the run game. What are you talking about? Dude, you're echoing shit I've been saying for 3 years about the coach. And everything I said last year when you were 10-1 and telling me how good you were turned out to be true. What are you talking about? Owe you an apology? I don't know, you dick. Everything I said about that football team, except for this, I thought the defense would get better by week 9, and it didn't. Because by week 12, you ended up changing coordinators. Not true, Prince. I disagree with that. You're making it sound like all these things I said are not true now, when I said them all last year. And I agree with Xander. It's old news. The only people that don't know it aren't people in here. How about this guy? Everything in that Tim McManus story, everything I told you from day one, everything I said turned out to be true. Player hated the coach. The coach got in the way. He fucked over Brian Johnson. Xander told me before the show, he goes, what's Brian Johnson ever done? Well, Brian Johnson never had a chance to do anything. You hired a coordinator not to do his job. Because according to Jalen, and what was said there and how the whole thing rolled out, the hiring of Kellen, it turned out to be that he got in the way. Brian Johnson wanted to make that offense his own. He wanted to make it Jalen Hurts his own offense. Nick didn't want to. Imagine that. That's why you're hearing Kellen say, this offense is being tailored to what Jalen wants. Complete contradiction of last year. It's a complete contradiction of what went on a year ago. Okay? I have wondered how much people were not happy with Kelsey's reads and not had the courage to say anything. Listen, man, I'm not going to sit here and question Jason Kelsey and his blitz pickups. No way. No way. No way. You know, I mean, no way. I got too much respect for the dude's career and the guy and how he played. You sit here and say that he didn't You know what? I heard people saying last year that Kelsey kept telling Hurts where the blitz was coming from and he didn't still see it. I heard that too. Okay? Look at Prince, man. Prince, I owe you big, man. Trying to get to 250 before 4:30. Thank you guys so much. 6 minutes, man. You guys are killing it today. Can't thank you enough. Then why did they sound whiny when asked about the new coordinator and explain about being 95% new? JM, that's exactly what I'm talking about with old news stories. The Eagles have a decision to make today as a PR department. Do you let that story just die and you don't address it? They addressed it with Jalen Hurts, first question out of the gate. So you called Wink Martindale. It was the first question asked to Jalen Hurts today. You know what Jalen Hurts did? I thought his answer was spectacular. You know what he said? Okay? You know what he said? He went like this. Why is that relevant? You know, my feet are right now where we are. We're trying to get better. And by the way, who wrote that? And then that's when I guess Tim said I did. And he goes, what was the context of it? And he goes, well, I wanted to know because of last year and how we got to where we are. And I thought Jalen respected that response. Said, okay, well, I don't think he wanted to give the answer, though, because I think he really has pushed a year ago away. He doesn't want anything to do with negativity. And I got to tell you, Hugh Douglas said something, and Hugh's right. If you were in that locker room right now and you're sitting at the presser right now and somebody brings up 23, and you guys are having a pretty good camp, and you're having a pretty good camp. I'm taking Trent Williams, hands down. And you're having a good camp, and everything's rolling in the right direction. You're installing good things. And somebody brings up something like that, I would sit there and go, what the fuck is this about? Where are we going here? That's counterproductive in what we're trying to accomplish right now. Every year's a new year. That is so true. The problem that you always will have with the media is this. They hate being wrong or not informed. That's a direct result of the Eagles controlling the environment. Remember when I opened my show, I said this. Now I know where that ESP tweet came from. Nick Sirianni is having a great camp. I brought that up with Angelo. And I'm like, why would you tweet that? Coaches are having good camps? How does a coach have a good camp? Based off of what? Last year? Or based off you were tipped off that Tim McManus story was coming out in the next couple of days? ESPN has covered that story from morning until right now. Every time you tune on a Fox show or you tune on an ESPN show, it's national news now that Sirianni and Jalen Hurts have a horrible relationship. And to us who've been in here, you and I are dead on. Old news. What's the point? We're where Jalen is. We are where Jalen is right now. Man, what's that mean? Where are we here with that? It was almost like he wasn't prepared for that. I think he was shocked. Because you know why? Martindale answered the questions. It's the first time a quarterback has ever called him in all of his years as a coordinator after a loss like that and asked him, hey, man, what did you see? So you find that weird? I mean, I can't think I've ever heard that. Or a top flight quarterback has ever called a coordinator like a week or as you get to prepare for a wild card game, you call the guy who just beat you, who was a DC a couple days earlier. I'd never heard that. Oh, well, yeah, Yale. I don't think he hated him until the end. He wanted to make changes in the coaching staff, so Wink said, screw it. And my question would be, why didn't the Eagles hire Wink Martindale? I thought they interviewed him. And I wonder if they interviewed him because Hurts did that. They interviewed Wink Martindale before he got the Michigan DC job. They interviewed him. Remember in the offseason, they interviewed Wink Martindale. So one of the reasons that they probably interviewed him was because Hurts did that. Can you imagine in the middle of an interview process, you do this? Yeah, I talked to Jalen after the Giants win. What? And now that's out publicly? My question would be with Tim McManus, where'd you get that from? Someone told you. Someone told you that. It's funny when Xander and I were getting ready to start the show today, I completely agree with him on this. What the fuck does that got to do? Nothing. It is totally old news. But what it's done is it's defined in how Nick is where he is now. I've never seen something like this where a guy keeps his gig. Okay? He keeps his gig. The quarterback and the OC were at odds with the head coach the entire season. And he kept his job. Nick Sirianni took a blowtorch to the team a year ago. The owner had to go to the head coach and say, here are the parameters for you to have the job. If you don't want it, let us know. Because we'll give it to Kellen Moore. They had interviewed him 2 years previous. There's no question that Jalen Hurts went to the owner and said he can't be involved in play calling. Everything you're seeing now is completely contradicting last year. That's why Nick's questions are so vague. Now, how does that apply now? The dynamic will not be between Nick and Jalen. It's going to be Nick and Kellen to watch. Let's bring our friend in. Xander Krause, Birds 365, who's doing an absolutely sensational job covering the Birds with John McMullen, giving you bird's eye view of all the stuff that's going on over at the NovaCare Center. Hey, Xander, before we get going here, what's the latest on Gardner Johnson? Do we know? Is he back out there again? He had an MRI, according to John Clark of NBC Philadelphia. Is he back out there practicing again?
He wasn't out there today, did not practice today, but John's reports from the people that John has talked to, John McMullen, that is, not John Clark, nothing serious. He should be good. There should be no concern going into the year, but they are going to play it cautious. You know, they're not going to rush him back out there in training camp. So we'll see, but it's definitely a concern, right? I mean, this is a guy that played 3 games last year. You know, Reed Blankenship got hurt. Sidney Brown's their third safety. He's coming off a torn ACL. I mean, this is a position right now that is, you know, is filled with players who have been plagued by injury. So can't legislate it, but it's definitely not great. But the latest on him is he should be all right. Everything should be good. Minor injury right now that happened on a play in training camp a couple days ago. I think it was Tuesday or Monday or Sunday's practice, one or the other. So should be good. Should be all good.
Do you believe that the current structure of how Kellen Moore is running this offense is a direct result of what Jalen Hurts wanted in the offseason, where he wanted one voice in the building and he wanted to have an offense and more say in the offense? And that according, again, and like you and I said, and I'm with you, Xander, it's an old story that you and me have been talking and everybody at JAKIB for 3 years about, and more so a year ago. But now it's just like, hey, you're welcome. Okay. You still got the guy in the building that caused all this havoc a year ago. You said, you know what? I think it was you, because you said this to me. You think he went to the owner and had a conversation with him and said, I need to have it this way? Do you think he did do that? Because it sure seems like it did now.
Yeah, maybe he did. I mean, and I'm okay with that. But hindsight's 2020. I have no issue with Nick Sirianni doing that last year. None. Zero. Think about this, Dan. And you're like, look, you hired a coordinator and didn't let him do his job. Well, what does Andy Reid do?
We're talking about a kid that was brought in here to be the offensive coordinator of the football team for Jalen Hurts, and Nick Sirianni stepping on every single move that was failing.
That's
Andy
not
Reid
true.
with Eric Bieniemy results in Super Bowls. This resulted in a catastrophic meltdown.
It also resulted in 10-1. And in 2022, when you had Shane Steichen as your coordinator, that was also Nick Sirianni's offense. I'm not saying Nick is perfect. I'm just saying when you're a head coach and you come off a season where you go to the Super Bowl with your offense, you're not just going to be like, okay, Brian, you do whatever you want. And that makes complete sense.
It doesn't make sense when you hear that the coordinator and the quarterback were all both on the same page, and they were trying to make the offense the quarterbacks, but Nick had his own guardrails on it.
Yeah, because that makes sense. You wanted the guy
that failed.
That's because you're viewing it in hindsight. Of course, now it doesn't look good, but in that moment when Brian Johnson was hired, it makes complete sense why Nick Sirianni would say, hey, man, you can be our offensive coordinator, but you're not going to have free reign on this thing. I'm the guy that led this team to the Super Bowl. I'm the head coach that's 34-17. I'm the guy.
He's 13-11 as a play caller.
What's that?
He's 13-11 as a play caller in charge of an
wasn't
offense.
the play caller last year.
He was the play caller.
No, he was
according
not
to those
the
two
play
guys, he completely got it. According to what Tim's saying, he completely got in the way. That's how I read that. You read it wrong, or you read it your way. I read it my way.
Offense. It was Nick's offense. It had
and
nothing
by
to
the
do with
way,
play calling.
there's no question now. You see that he has no autonomy whatsoever in the offense this year.
Well, that's because it didn't work, and that's the decision they made. Back to your question, though, about Jalen. Yes, I do think Jalen might have been a part of that, potentially, of moving Nick out of the way, bringing in a guy like Kellen who has full autonomy of the offense. Probably. I'm awake, says Xander loves Nick. I don't love Nick. I called for Nick to get fired last year. But if we're going to sit here and play revisionist history and try and act like we don't all have 20/20 vision, looking back on it now, this is a guy that went to the Super Bowl in his second year as a head coach.
It's not revisionist. I've been saying this since day one.
A guy who's never done crap in the NFL, full autonomy of his football team.
How is this revisionist? I've been saying this since day one. What do you mean revisionist? I'm not going back on some shit I said.
I'm not saying you're being revisionist.
I said when they were 10-1. I said this when they were 10-1. They're not that good. They're getting away from the run. They were not committed with the quarterback running last year, and the coach wanted to have more passes in the air. They knew they could not pick up the blitz. All that shit we said a year ago, and it played out. That's not revisionist. I was on the site of the time that was going on. I'm not going back and Monday morning quarterbacking this.
No,
I'm telling you what I was seeing and watching. And then even Seth, halfway through the season, went, that team ain't what it looks like.
I know that. I understand that. But are you saying if you were the coach of the team, you would have said, okay, Brian, you have full autonomy?
No, what I would have went in at the beginning of the season, the number one thing that you said that I always pointed out, why the fuck are you hiring training wheel coordinators? Who made that decision? That decision was the complete precursor to the entire meltdown. That one move was the reason why all that changed out that way. You didn't want to put Brian in there? Well, put in a guy like Kellen. You could have hired him. I mean, you could have hired him before Los Angeles did. He was fired.
We went to the Super Bowl. Kellen Moore Shane Steichen got hired after the Super Bowl, Sills.
You could have hired Cliff. No, you couldn't because Cliff wanted
They were all off the market. You got to remember they were all off the market.
Wait a minute. I'm a year behind too because that's
what I'm saying. When they hired Brian Johnson, they were coming off a Super Bowl appearance. Shane Steichen got hired way late. The Eagles couldn't hire somebody before the Super Bowl. At this point, they're a month out. They're a month further along than every other team who hired Kellen.
I never in a million years said anything like that, LJ. I said that Desai is a smart kid. And by the way, he's now the assistant head football coach of the Los Angeles Rams, and he's the assistant head of defense with the Rams right now. And also the quarterback coach in Washington is now Brian Johnson. If these guys blew so bad, why did they get scooped up immediately? So I'm telling you, last year, you still have the one thing, and I'll give Nick this credit. And this is why ESP put that tweet out now.
Hey,
Nick's having a great camp. Nick's having a great camp. I've never seen a tweet like that about a coach that you have to throw nice innuendos out to. Bro, nobody cares about what you're doing. Just do the right thing and get the fuck out of the way. That's how I see it.
Yeah, but look at it. Here's a delusional person who says, I'm becoming Delulu. No, John, I'm not becoming Delulu. I understand the problems with Nick Sirianni, and I've said on air many times that he has to be better this year, and he has to do what he needs to do to get back to the Super Bowl and not be a dumbass like he was last year. But if you're telling me that you think giving the offense up to a guy who hasn't done shit in the NFL would have been a smart move, Stills, let me finish, would have been a smart move coming off a Super Bowl appearance, that is dumb. Now we're looking at it in hindsight when it failed and it collapsed and it didn't work. Agreed. It didn't work. Now that's why we have Kellen Moore. That's a different topic than why Brian Johnson didn't have control of the offense. It makes complete sense why Brian Johnson, a guy who's accomplished dick in the NFL, didn't have control.
Why'd you hire him? If you're coming off a Super Bowl, you pay a guy $50 million. I'm going to hire a kid out of college to run my company? I don't think so. I'm going to find the most experienced guy I could possibly find to elevate this guy's game and do everything I can to bring the proper coaching in. That's why I keep bringing up the shit in Kansas City. There's a reason Kansas City's winning. It's not just a great talent and decision-making. You got talent in Brett Veach. You got talent in Andy Reid. You got talent in Steve Spagnuolo. And you got talent in Andy Reid and the quarterback. All of those dynamics play into building a great dynasty and building a championship football team. You hire a guy, and Jalen had a superior 22 season. You even heard Wink Martindale going, they got away from running the quarterback. Once they took that dynamic away, Xander, and I said it all year, once that dynamic got taken away, Hurts wasn't special anymore.
I agree. And look, I agree even that Brian Johnson was the wrong hire, but again, you have to factor in the context. They went to the Super Bowl last year. There wasn't that many guys on the market. So when you have a team as successful as they had, in a way, the logical solution or the logical answer to Shane leaving is continue the offense and install the guy that saw it up close and personal as
the quarterback coach.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he was good. I'm not even saying he should have been the coordinator, but I'm saying you're late in the cycle. Most guys who are worth anything are off the market, and they went to Brian Johnson, the guy who was in the room and who oversaw the same exact offense that they tried to do in 23, but didn't do it nearly as good as Shane did it. I get it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's right. All I'm saying is I get it. I think
the timing comment, folks, is what because if you think about it, Desai was probably the third choice DC. I mean, remember, they first wanted Vic, but Vic got scooped up by Miami.
Yeah,
They wanted the guy
Vic went a couple days early. Yeah.
Right? They wanted the guy in Georgia. He wouldn't come.
You're right. Same thing with Desai. And remember, Gannon took the job way late. You remember the NFC title game? Gannon's in driving through in his G-Wagon in Philly, and he's like, I'm not effing leaving. Let's gut these guys and all that crap. And then he takes the job. I'm not knocking him. He got a head coaching opportunity. Sure, he's going to take it. But, it took a while for him to take that job. It wasn't until after the Super Bowl. And you're late in that process as well. Desai was a catastrophic failure at defensive coordinator.
Let's me and you. Come on, let's take a victory lap here on this, though. Because you're right. When we started the show, the fuck's it got to do with anything on August 6th? Nothing. I mean, I'm totally with that.
This is what I hate about the media.
With that. But doesn't it show you a little bit, Xander, how when we're trying to show you something and point something out to people that you're so oblivious to the truth that the Eagle media and national media are a year behind in what actually went on? It shows you how the Eagles control the narrative in the media. That's all I'm saying. How important it is for one thing I've learned from all you guys in Philly. Man, that organization, they do not want to be looked on in a poor light. My last question on this topic here, and I'll move on from it, but do you think this is the smartest thing to do? Do you think they let it die? Or do you think they start coming out with more of these stories, making Nick look great and all this other shit? Or do you think they do the right thing and just let that nothing burger die?
Well, that's a tough question because when you're a media member, and this is what I don't like about the profession, but it is a job. So it's in a way, it wouldn't be doing the right thing. If there's more to uncover that they believe is worth reporting on, then sure, they can report on it. My point is, this is what I hate about the media. This seems like a plant to me where you go through training camp. We've been talking about this. It's August, Dan. That's the 8th month of the year. This thing happened in We're 8, not 3 months, not 5. We're 8 months removed from this collapse. And then you have 10 training camp practices. Jalen Hurts looks amazing. Kellen Moore's offense looks awesome. Nick Sirianni looks back to his smiley self. Everything is going good in Eagle Land at training camp right now. Oh, whoa, here comes. Remember this, everybody. Remember the collapse of last season. Make sure you hang your hat on this again. I'm like, oh, come on, man. Like, if you
I agree with you, Douglas.
March or April or all right, we would have been talking about it all summer. But to drop this now, I
agree with you and Hugh.
And I liked him. Tim is a good guy. I've talked to Tim. I've had a personal relationship with Tim, not just on the air, but I've talked to him off the air. He's a good guy, but I'm curious if the powers that be were, holding this sucker until they felt it was going to get the best chance to hit as many numbers as possible. How about John, by the way, today at the practice going, that wasn't me. I didn't write that article. I'm cracking. I can't wait to talk to John about that tonight. I'm gonna be, John, Jalen had you blushing, my boy.
Oh my God.
He had rosy cheeks. John, I didn't write that. I'm like, oh no.
Hey, let's start with Hurts here on that.
Wait, and I'll say this to you right here, by the way.
Real quick.
No, because this is still this stuff. I mean, I know we don't want to harp on it, but it's still worth talking about in the market right now. Z, to me, we found out Jalen has balls. That's what it means to me. I like it.
Me too.
I like it. You know what? I love it.
Me too.
Jalen should.
He's
and
not
that's a progression. Remember, he's only a 4 or 5 year guy in the league. That's a progression. He's going to get more of that. You know, Tom Brady took a different type of authority in year 18 and year 10 and 15 than he did in year 3 and 4. So, but that's a good take, Akbar. I completely agree with that.
I'll tell you something I learned too, man, about that article and shit. This guy Jalen Hurts has a relationship with Jeffrey Lurie like Tom Brady had with Bob Kraft. I mean, hey, dude, I think there's a text message and there's shit that these guys talk about where no one else is involved with. I think these guys got a closer relationship than what people think, man, because he don't bring anybody up first except the owner.
Yeah.
He goes, I trust Mr. Lurie. And then the rest of them fall in line.
When you get 253 large or 255 large, and you look at the signature on that check, I mean, you know who Daddy is.
The guy who signed it, man.
Wait, so Swigert says this is fair. This is a fair question here, and I guess I battle with this too mentally, where it's like Woody. Swigert says Xander, he might not have had all the info he needed for the article until now. Don't you think he would have written it earlier if he could? I do think he would have written it earlier. But what info? And we're right. We don't know his information gathering process, so maybe he didn't get it till now, and I guess it's still worth a posting. I just find it a little funny, Slagger. I mean,
I think the Martindale thing took. I think he talked to Martindale just recently because it seemed I had never heard Wink Martindale say that he had spoken to Jalen Hurts.
I'm surprised you didn't like that.
Oh, I didn't say I didn't.
Okay, because I thought that was great. I mean,
my question was more of an indictment on the Eagles, and why he didn't go to the coaches, because it shows you right there he didn't trust them.
Yeah, and it shows you that, maybe he didn't think that. Well, I mean, it could show you that, but it could also just, different perspectives are valuable. Even when you have a guy in the room.
But I had never heard that before.
I never had, and neither has Wink, and he's 40 years in the league.
I know. I never heard that.
I do like that from Jalen, where it's like, any competitive advantage I can get.
Football IQ.
I want to get. And from that perspective, I think that's a great thing for Jalen to have that. I mean, you can argue what it means for the Eagles or what it says about them, but from a Jalen Hurts perspective, I think that's a great thing. I think that's a positive thing to go that route and to show that you want to learn more,
In the press conference here, and I'll go down to number 4 here. He was asked the 4th question about Wink Martindale, and he fires back, and he's like, "Who wrote that?" And I think McManus is in the room, and he goes, "I did." And he goes, "What's the relevance of it?" And he went, "Well, I wanted to know from a year ago to why we're where we are right now." And he looked at that and he goes, because the first thing he said was, "I want to know what the relevance is. I mean, where are we here? Where we're going for? I mean, what is?" And so then he tried to give you a cheap ass way out of it without being too insulting. He didn't want to be too insulting to Tim, but I thought right then and there, he was basically, I really do believe, Xander, I think the fucking team has moved on to 2024, and people are just finding some of this stuff out right now. And it's kind of shocking to some of the media guys because they were wrong.
And they should move on to 24. What are we we're preparing to try and go and win a Super Bowl here. This is a team that's talking about Super Bowl aspirations. Are we going to sit here and rehash 2023 until our, our blue in the face, So I agree. I mean, look, like I said, I get why the article is written. I question the timing of it. It's a little odd to me. But Tim is a good reporter. He's a guy that has a lot of research, a lot of sources, and it's interesting. I don't think it's as big of a knock though as people have turned it into. Like I don't think
like I said, Hurts. I think it's more of an indictment on Nick.
Yeah, and I didn't really see it as that. Look, I get it. I appreciate your take, but I don't see it as a too big of a knock on Nick. I really don't.
It told you why Nick has no say.
Yeah, but it makes sense to me. Like I said, it makes sense that Nick was like, I'm not giving it to Brian. Now maybe Jalen didn't like it, and now the owner said, "F you, Nick. I'm trusting my quarterback, and I'm going with what he wants." Maybe, yeah, that might be true. I agree with that.
I think
in that moment,
I think you got 3 co-head coaches right now.
Yeah, you kind of do. I mean, and they're all they're 3. They're 3.
Oh no, 2 of them I'm good with.
Yeah, Kellen was interviewed for a head coach. Vic Fangio has been a head coach. Nick is a head coach, obviously. It's an interesting dynamic.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you on this. I think, again, we've been so far ahead of this story. It is going back. It's like talking about Doug Peterson. Okay, come on. Here we go. Wentz and all that bullshit. There's a clip Nick telling Jalen, "I know you could do it," after the TD, and Jalen's response was, "You should." Hey, I think that relationship has always been a little icy. I'll tell you one thing I heard Jalen say. I think that was today when he got in front of the mic that I thought was weird. He goes like this: "I've been waiting for this moment for a bit here." And, because he was asked a question about protection. He goes, "Now look, when you got a Hall of Fame guy like Jason Kelce and you got a guy like that, you got to wait your turn." But he goes, "For me, I think he kind of blew off Cam Jurgens and his input in this, and that he says, I've been waiting for this." So I wonder what that relationship seemed, because those were his exact words, Xander. He's been waiting for this. Do you think he trusted Jason Kelce's you think he trusted him all the time when it came to blitz pickup? Because when someone says this, "I've waited my turn for this, and I waited for this, and I'm embracing this." I mean, what?
Yeah,
okay,
you're right.
How did you take it?
Yeah,
I thought it was weird.
It's either that or it's a natural evolution of, that as a starting quarterback in the NFL, it's something you're going to have to do. And maybe he understood it as he was acclimating and getting up to speed and, becoming a star quarterback before he was one. I think maybe he was all right with it being on Kelsey, as let me learn the playbook, let me learn everything else. You help me with that. And then eventually I'm going to be able to take the sword. It could be that. Now that's the positive perspective. That's the optimist perspective. The pessimist perspective, as always, is Big Sills, where you're like, hey, maybe you didn't trust Kelsey. And,
I'm
so somebody commented, Big Sills. I don't know if you've ever seen this guy. Somebody commented about the QB School as a YouTube channel. And he's a guy, and he's very good. I've watched a couple of his videos. I don't watch him often, but apparently he did another video on Jalen and the blitz pickup, and why it's basically insane to not have your quarterback be the guy that picks up the blitzes. So I'm going to go and watch that. Somebody commented it earlier. I think it was earlier on our show this morning, and I'm going to go check that out. But you would think that the quarterback should have that. I mean, just when you think of some of the great quarterbacks, you know what I mean?
I thought it was a little bit of an insult. He didn't have more say in the blitz pickup.
Maybe. I mean, but that's fine, but that's a double-edged sword because, all right, if it's going to be on you, you better be able to do it, proficiently. So we'll see, And
if you're going to supersede a Hall of Fame center, you better have your shit together.
Exactly. Yeah. LeRae says QB School's excellent. Yeah. Prophet Watcher says the call shows Jalen gives a damn. I agree. I agree. I think, someone else said that everything today, I think the one thing you are seeing is
leadership.
Jalen has more control of this football team than
goodness me.
Yeah.
I learned more today.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
No.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
You think Mahomes in Kansas City has control of that team?
Well, I don't know. That's a different cat with Andy. I think Mahomes has control, but
you think it's weird that Eric
it's like when you're a kid, though. It's like when you're a kid, right? And you're walking through an amusement park. Like, your dad is going to lead you the right direction. You're good. It's like, I'm not saying that it's that. I'm just trying to find the example. Like, Mahomes could be in control, but he's like, I got Big Red. I don't need to be in control of everything. I have a good guy at running the ship. I don't need to be in control of everything. And I think that's how Mahomes feels.
How about this with Mahomes? You don't think there's any coincidence when they had that dust up and flare up on the sideline with the bitching a couple times? The next year, Eric Bieniemy was gone.
Was Eric Bieniemy overrated there?
Probably.
Yeah, they got a Super Bowl without him, didn't they?
2 of them.
Yeah, 2 of them. So,
I mean, but don't you think that, hey, you're not going to bitch with me here. Dude, you're just a paperclip holder. And they moved his ass.
Back to loop it back to our first topic, though. I think that's what Nick was going for with Johnson. Like, hey, dude, I'm happy you're our offensive coordinator, but like, you're not about to come in here and change this offense that got us to a Super Bowl.
Nick's not Andy Reid.
I know that. But he had success, and when you believe in yourself and you're a person that has faith in your abilities, and you come off a high like that of a Super Bowl, you believe you believe in it, and whether he is or not is a separate topic. But like I said, I don't have a problem with him not wanting to give everything to Brian Johnson. I don't think Brian Johnson has earned the right to have full control over an NFL offense that features A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, Jason Kelsey, all these guys.
Again, why'd you hire him?
Well, yeah, it's another. That's a separate topic.
I mean, it goes back to that. Don't you think this organization? Don't you think it was organizationally that they didn't want Hurts to learn the protections? Specifically when the organization trusted Kelsey, also Jalen's young. Yeah, but how many quarterbacks do you know in the NFL that don't set the protection for their own line? I don't know any, except Jalen Hurts. Even Purdy sets his own blocking protection. I mean, I think that was a little bit of an insult. But listen,
I don't know. You know what I'd like to ask John? I'd like to go back to the Carson Wentz era with John and say, did Jason Kelsey do the blitz pickups for Carson Wentz?
Ask him that.
That's the question.
That'll be an organizational situation.
Exactly. Or if not organizational, a Kelsey thing where they had so much trust in Kelsey, that's where they went with it. And maybe they won't have that in Cam, and they'll move it to the quarterback now.
Absolutely. That's a great question for him. Need to find out what they did to Jalen's injured finger. He's been on a roll this camp.
He has, Abraham. He's been really killing it. Everybody I've talked to, even guys who have been, I'm not going to say, haters, but have been, listen, man, you got to play better, have reported that he has looked lights out down there at training camp. It's not just the Elliott Shore Parks of the world. It's not just the guys who hold the Eagles water. It's a lot of other people who have said he looks very sharp. And it's not like he's just taking all dump offs. He is still threading the needle on tight throws. He's still pushing the ball downfield. He's still being aggressive. He's just protecting the football more. And that's the biggest thing he needs to do coming into this year after the turnovers last year is protect the football.
Tell me if you're concerned with this. You got time for a few?
Yeah, where are we at? Yeah, I got about 10 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Don't forget, are you doing a special Birds 365
yes,
right
sir.
after?
Last one of the
Okay,
week. The last
minutes.
nightcap edition of the week will be regular programming Thursday and Friday. So tomorrow morning and Friday morning.
Fantastic. By the way, your old man was awesome yesterday. So are you concerned with this? Bryce, how's it coming along? Well, my run blocking's coming along. And I'm going to put them all together here. Yeah, my run blocking's coming along, or my playing the run's coming along. Vic's got a very interesting system on playing the run. Question was followed up with, what do you mean? He goes, well, he has to have, you have to recognize some things a little bit more in the run game. And I haven't been really used to that, not been put in that position before. He was also asked this. He goes, what about like dropping back in coverage? He goes, well, I was never really asked to do that in New York. And so like you really have to do a lot more recognizing in Vic's defenses. So that's been a little bit of a challenge. He goes, but I am getting better on the run right now. But, we're working there and I feel I'm getting better, but Vic's got a very complex system. And for me, it really is all about working on the technique. When I hear that, I'm like, you're fucking talking about a free agent edge rusher. That doesn't sound like a $50 million guy that knows what he's.
It sounds like a guy trying to figure it out in the NFL.
You're in the league 6 years.
Yeah. I'm getting concerned on Bryce Huff, man. I got to be honest. Look, I know fans I know everybody wants me to be the
I'm more
guy.
concerned about him than Nolan Smith.
Me too, because Nolan is, well, here's the thing. You got to be concerned about Nolan, but our pass rush doesn't hinge on Nolan Smith this year. It should have because he's a first rounder, but it doesn't because the moves they made. And now you're like, boy, if Huff can't get home, if Huff isn't the player that we signed him to be, we are in trouble on defense. Now, I think his job's going to be easier this year with Vic and those three interior linemen. And I think there's going to be a ton of lanes for him to get to the quarterback. But if anybody has expectations on him being a three-down player or making an impact on non-pass rush downs, I do not think that that's going to happen. And, me and John kind of not debated this, but we had this conversation and John's like, well, why do you want him to be a three-down player? He's paid to get after the quarterback. That's it. Get 15 sacks and it's it. You don't need him to be a three-down player. And I'm like, okay. I mean, if that's how he's viewed, then he better go get those 15 sacks or else he's a whopping waste of money. So I don't know. We'll see. I got to be honest though. I am getting concerned on him. He has done a whole lot of nothing in training camp. You're even hearing some flashes on Nolan Smith. You're even hearing Jordan Davis getting through it. Like I have heard nothing on Bryce Huff other than that he dropped an interception that was thrown right through his hands. That's all I've heard. And that Vic Fangio said he's not a three-down player. That's all we've heard so far. So let's hope that he can be something because we're going to be in trouble if he's not. Jameson, don't give me those nightmares. Jameson, he's giving me Byron Maxwell vibes. Oh, goodness.
My God.
Or what's the other Nnamdi Asomugha? Oh, my goodness.
Oh, Nnamdi
Asomugha. They were like the same season, weren't they? Or a couple seasons apart? Oh, my goodness.
Hey,
we don't want that, but I don't know. What do you think about Bright? Like, do you think it makes sense to sign a guy for that?
No.
And just expect him to rush the passer?
I think they were really I think that they really overestimated that, they really overestimated his ability to be able to fit in Vic's system. It's one thing to be in Robert Saleh's system. It's another thing to be in Vic's when you're asked to do multiple things. What's the one thing that's putting Zach Bond on the field? His versatility. He can play outside and inside, and he's a tough kid. He's smart. He can pick it up. I got to tell you something else, dude. I think he's having a tough time picking up the scheme. I don't really think he knows where to line up right now. And I think that's why when you hear players say this, Xander, it's a work in progress, that to me is technique. Nick Sirianni said something so smart today at his press conference. Believe me, it was the only thing he said that was smart. You know what that was? Most mistakes that we're seeing in camp are alignment mistakes. They're guys not knowing where to line up with proper technique, and that's where the fundamental breakdown starts. He's dead on with that.
Yeah.
I think this guy's struggling with that. What do you make of – last one here. What do you make of – this is what they're going to start their front with. You're going to have Josh Sweat, one edge, Huff, Uxter edge. Now that you have Sweat out there on the edge, I feel pretty decent about that. Now your interior three are going to be Carter. It's going to be Davis. And it's going to be Milton. And your inside linebackers are going to be Bond, as of right now, and White. I'll tell you why that, for me, it looks okay. You're protecting your linebackers who can't really play physical football, but are athletes. You're making them be athletes. So it is going to be imperative, Xander, that you have great tackle play and interior play and edge rushing setting of the edge. Because if they don't set the edge, you know, when John says you don't set the edge, dude, I can't think of any more thing that he's ever said that I disagree with more. If you don't set the edge, teams are going to run outside of you all day long. They're just that they look for guys who can't set the edge.
I know. The problem is the modern NFL is just not – Vic is not as worried about the run as you are.
Well, the run is what was a catastrophic failure last year for the team.
I know.
Okay?
I know.
And if your linebackers can't make plays and they can't cover – what I'm saying to you is, okay, maybe not, Xander. You can be 13 or 12 against the run, but if your linebackers are getting blown off the ball and they can't cover and they're getting lost in traffic, you won't be able to cover a back or linebacker or a tight end to save your life. Yeah. I think they're protecting those inside guys. So I think what Vic is doing is taking chicken shit and turning it into chicken soup here a little bit, but also it makes me believe they need some interior depth. They need to find some more people at the edge and interior. I'm not saying the guys they have on the team are not good, but they need some more depth inside there.
I would agree. You can't put everything on these young guys. You can't. And that's what they're doing right now. And this Vic defense is tough. And, you know, I'm not really sure what they're going to, where they're going to sign. I think you should, if anything is going to happen, I think you're going to see those dominoes fall pretty soon here. But I would say edge first. I think that, I don't know. I'm just concerned on Bryce, and that's making me concerned on that whole position. I feel okay about Josh Sweat, but the thing with Josh Sweat is you got to get his snap numbers down or else.
Yep.
Let me turn this off. Sorry. It's fucking beeper.
Yep. You got to get his snap numbers down below.
Yeah, or else he's not going to be relevant late in the season again. Yeah. So I don't know what they're going to do, but my concern with the defense is not on Vic Fangio. It's that he doesn't have the guys needed to have the right defense or to have a good defense. And we're going to see how it all works out. I feel a little bit better about the cornerbacks. I think Isaiah is solid. I think Keely Ringo is going to be solid. I think Quinyon Mitchell is going to be solid. You have those young guys. Once they get snaps, they're going to get better. Safety is a little concerning with the injury history there, but linebackers, man, those linebackers are a liability. I mean, you hear these talk about Nakobe Dean. He got burnt again today. One touchdown pass from Jalen Hurts in practice today. It was to Dallas Goedert. Guess who was trailing him in coverage? 3 steps behind him. Nakobe Dean. The guy can't cover to save his life. So
you think that phone call last one's Xander? You think that phone call's coming with Justin Simmons?
No, I don't. I do not.
Even with the injuries to Gardner Johnson and with Cooper DeJean?
I don't.
And with the poor linebacker.
Part of me is saying that because I've been convinced by John that it's not going to happen.
Okay.
But he's not saying it from a what he wants standpoint. He's saying it from an Eagles organization standpoint. They're not going to do it. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm struggling with it. The problem with him is they're going to move Reed to the bench, and they don't want Reed to the bench.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I said if you can get your team better, why not just put Reed on the bench? But
how about this?
Know, they don't want him.
So as of right now, it's Rodgers.
He's by the way, he's visiting in New Orleans today.
Who?
Justin Simmons.
Dude, Justin Simmons, New Orleans? Come on, dog. That ain't going to help you. You
That-
need to go to some place.
That goes back to my point, though. And look, I like Justin, but this might be a little bit of a big name trap. He's now in New Orleans. First it was, I'm waiting to get an opportunity with a contender. And then it was, maybe, he's an older player, so he doesn't want to go through training camp and all that. Like, this guy's just not getting the money. He's just not getting the money he wants, Big Sills. So he's going to go to whoever gives him the money. I've said that from jump. If he got the money he wanted, he wouldn't be on the market right now. So that means not just the Eagles, but 31 other teams don't think he's worth whatever he's asking for. So I don't know how much of look, I think he's a good player. I don't know how much. I don't think he turns us into a perennial Super Bowl defense, though. I don't. I think he's Kevin Byard. That's what I think.
No way. Kevin Byard wasn't second team All-Pro last year.
Kevin Byard stunk out loud last year.
I don't.
Wait,
hey,
Sills,
by the
before
way,
I get out of here, I want to do a couple things.
One more thing here, man. Sills, what about Devin White interview? What about what are you saying?
So Devin White did a podcast, sit down with Ryan Clark. Definitely worth a listen. I didn't listen to the full thing yet, but apparently it's pretty good. So I'm going to listen to that tonight when I get off the late night show. Okay. I'm a little bit footballed out. Maybe it won't be tonight. It might be in the morning. I'm going all day here, so I don't know if I'll get off and listen to that. But I do want to listen to it eventually. A couple things I want to do though before I get out of here, Sills. I just want to thank everybody. We have a lot of members joining today. We got like 9 or 10 members join today. Prince, you can see he's been a member for a month. Thank you, Prince. We appreciate you, brother. Super chat. I don't want to miss that. Thank you, Abraham. Eagles edge players are being modeled after Micah Parsons. Yeah, too small. Let's go back to these big dudes. I want Myles Garrett's. I don't want Hassan Reddick's. Spin Bad becomes a member. Spin, thank you, brother. We appreciate that very much. All these people sales are being entered into the jersey giveaway. Big Marshall, thank you, brother. Wayne Miller, thank you, brother. Dolahan Monster, thank you, guys. All these super chats and Matt the Fly Angler. I just wanted to thank each one of them for joining. It means a lot. It goes a long way in helping the channel, and there is a positive for them, more than just supporting us. We appreciate the support, obviously, but they're going to be entered into the Saquon Barkley jersey giveaway. We're going to be doing a couple more things. We got a member earlier who's we have Niners All Damn Day, who Senor. Thank you, Senor. We appreciate it very much. So if Niners All Damn Day, if he wins the Saquon Barkley jersey, I said, all right, well, here's what I'll do for you. Niner.
Not that stupid one we saw coming out of the tunnel.
I'll gift Niner a Niners jersey of his choice. But what that means is that's a positive for the Eagles fans because I'm still going to give away another Saquon jersey. So if Niner wins or James Jones is the other guy, he's a Commander fan, I'll give them a jersey that they choose of their team.
Trey Lance. Niner all day. You get a Trey Lance old school jersey
given away. So thank you all, by the way, for becoming members. I can't thank you enough. We spend a lot of work. I spend a lot of time on this channel. It's my life right now building this thing. And when you guys do anything, it goes a long way. And I just want to say that I appreciate all of you for supporting us. It means a lot to me. So thank you all very much for becoming members, for the super chats, for the likes, for the comments, for everything. Thank you all. Appreciate it very much.
Xander, where are we in that like number right now?
We are killing it today, man. We are 275. Our man Prince has been on top of it all day. Prince is like, Prince, I got to upgrade you. I think there's a way to upgrade you as a moderator. I got to make Prince the top dog moderator. I think you can make somebody like an upgraded moderator. I might have to do that for our man Prince, who's been killing it in the chat every day.
Hey, Prince, I think we can get to 300 today, man. I mean, that would be awesome. And don't forget, right after the program, Birds 365 special edition. These guys will whip around in the morning and also do another 365 right around the corner there too. So we're giving you the latest, John. We'll have the latest on what's going on out there at camp.
Yep.
We appreciate it. Xander, way to keep kicking ass, brother. I appreciate it. And thank you very much, man.
Sills, thanks for getting me on, man. Appreciate you very much. Thanks, everybody in the chat. We'll catch you tonight, 6 to 8 on Birds 365. See you, everybody.
You got it, man. I appreciate that. That's Xander. Don't forget to catch him right after the program. Please hit that like button. Way to go, Q. Hey, man, you guys are just killing it today with new members, man. We can't thank you enough. And I think you guys now are getting it, man. This is your show. This is your network, man. You're not going to get this coverage anywhere else. They're bought and paid. People in this town are bought and paid for. That's not what this is. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your green house? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. Appreciate it. Thank you for coming aboard. You guys have been absolutely sensational. Look at that. We're almost right now at 300 likes, and we got about 35, 40 minutes left in the program. I can't thank you guys enough, especially you, Prince. Way to go, man. Way to keep the thing going. And, guys, this is going to be one whale of a football season for all of us. By the way, we'll get more into some of the rest of the teams around the National Football League, too, especially some of the teams that are going to play a factor that are going to be on the schedule. We'll always look at that, that are going to be on the schedule. By the way, before I get back into resetting the first hour of the program, please hit the like button. Guys, thank you again for being here. Eduardo, you're part of it, brother. You are absolutely part of it. You guys are absolutely part of this whole thing, growing it. God dang. I have never been involved with something that, you know, you never know when you're on the radio, as long as I was, how you're building a radio show until you get your Arbitron numbers. I used to be very proud of the Arbitron numbers. You know, we were always outside of San Diego, which was, well, the second job in San Diego sucked. It was terrible. And the first one was sensational. We broke Wolfman Jack's records, most listened to show in the history of the Mighty 1090 that was featured in American Graffiti. It was really fantastic. I loved being on that legendary station, 75,000 watts up and down the coast of California. San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Jose, San Diego, all heard my program. It was fantastic. But what you do here, dude, it just shows you again the attention span. You're not doing something people want to hear. They don't give a shit. They'll go somewhere else. There's so many more options today. I mean, I think mainstream radio and also mainstream television, I think those things are going to be absolutely extinguished by the internet. I mean, look at what streaming is now doing for the NFL. Even the NFL is going to streaming. They're going to start getting away from cable television, man. They're going to start going into streaming. It's crazy on what the internet has done to the media industry. The newspaper industry was the first to get killed. They must have whacked at least 95% of the newspaper industry, the internet. Now it went after radio, and now it's going after television. It's crazy. And all of you have made that because that's where you get your information now. You know, one of the biggest places that people get their information now is X, because they don't trust the mainstream media people like Fox News or CNN any longer. They don't trust them. They go to those sources because you can kind of dissect your own stuff. Kind of crazy, man. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Politically, if Trump wins, he has to use the internet to connect. I think everybody has to connect. I think everybody today has to connect here. I want to show you something here, though, before. And here's my problem once again. And guys, you know, I think you guys have a sense of where I am. You know, people always go like this: Sills, you're such a Trump guy. No, I'm a fair guy. You know, it's funny. I get into conversations with some family members, and they go, "You sound like you're defending this." No, I'm just defending the fact that you're listening to one side and you only hear one side. I like what we do here. We debate. You guys come back every day. You know why? It's a testament to the fact that you're open to having a dialogue. Some people will not have an open ear when it comes to dialogue. Maybe it was this. Look at the media right now and how they're handling this Tim McManus story. They were so close-minded that they thought Nick Sirianni had total autonomy and say over his football team, that now their eyes have been opened. And we've been telling you that from day one. You see how Xander and I have a little bit of a difference of an opinion? Xander goes like this: well, Sills, don't you think that why should Brian Johnson have been given total autonomy over the offense? Why would you hire a guy you just gave somebody $50 million to that shouldn't have been hired in that place in the first place? Don't you hire the most qualified people? No. You hire, once again, this goes back to my take on the organization. The organization doesn't hire the best available person. They hire the most controllable person. Did you hear what I said? The Philadelphia Eagles don't hire the most qualified coaches. They hire the most controllable coaches. And you know that's true. Right? It's true. Jason goes, we have some common sense. Well, hey, I'm open to being wrong. Why wouldn't you? Hurts is open to being wrong. Why wouldn't you? That's why when people, and Senor does it just to bust my stones. Dude, there's no such thing as flip-flopping in sports. There's no such thing. Here, get this. Did Simone Biles have an absolute fucking train wreck in Japan during the Olympics? Yes. Did she have a sensational Olympics in Paris? Yes. Is that flip-flopping? Or is that reality? Is that flip-flopping? She was atrocious in Japan. She quit. She came back like a thunderbolt in Paris. That's not a flip-flop. That's an athlete riding the ship. That's how I cover people. Your own actions lead to my takes, not my takes leading the athlete. That's old school, old man way. My take is, you know why Bayless is off the air? Because he still hangs on that LeBron James thing, that LeBron James is like, he talks like LeBron James is Andrew Toney. You know what I'm saying? He talks like, and Andrew Toney was a fine basketball player, but he talks like LeBron's Andrew Toney. And you're like, dude, this guy's one of the most accomplished players in the history of the NBA, maybe the most accomplished guy in history. Okay? And he's not Andrew Toney. Admitting you are or were wrong, then flipping happens all the time. That's not, no. So the Eagles flip-flopped on Wentz. See how funny that is? He'll call me, watch this. So me and the Eagles were right on flip-flopping on Wentz. Okay. I guess, thank you. You flip-flopped on Doug Peterson. Eagles fired him. You flip-flopped on Andy Reid. You fired him. Did you not? Or can you not admit that? It's kind of hard, isn't it? Right? Let me show you this here. When we get to this point, then we're going to reset here a little bit. So Harrison Buckner of the Chiefs got a 4-year, $25 million deal, making him the highest paid kicker in the league. Not that I cover kickers. Then you had Trey Wingo coming out going, and I'm going to paraphrase this, saying this. Well, it just shows you NFL really doesn't care about one guy's opinions, and they'll just go with how good the player is. Isn't that how life is? Trey Wingo doesn't like the fact that he has an opinion that differs to him. And he's throwing shade on the Chiefs for re-signing him to the richest deal in special teams history because he had a different take. By the way, you might want to check Serena Williams' background with her father and what kind of philanderer he was. Talk about somebody from a broken home. Hey, Serena might want to check Richard Williams out. What kind of man he was. I mean, you could throw shade all you want on Harrison Buckner, but when you throw shade on somebody, be prepared to have that shade thrown back on you, especially with Richard Williams not being the character guy he is, because he's not a character guy. So Serena, when she does that, careful what you say, man. Buckner has a different opinion, and I personally don't give a shit. I personally don't give a shit about people's opinions like that on personalities on Harrison Buckner. You want to believe that shit? That's up to you, guy. I cover you as a kicker and a football player. You got different opinions and you got different political stances. What does that have to do with the world of sports? You guys have different political opinions from me. You and me get along. That's right, Chuck. It's a leftist mentality. Well, look, he thinks women should be. That's not what he said. That's not what he said. If you listen to it and you have an open mind, which you don't, what he said was nothing wrong with what Harrison Buckner said. There was nothing wrong with it. He just makes shit up. And by the way, you got to love it. Tyreek Hill beats a kid, move him. Harrison Buckner has an opinion that kind of goes along with the Hunt family, they extend him. Think there's any coincidence to that? Give a kid a second chance. Matt Ariza. Think there's any coincidence to that? It's like Harrison Buckner is a legend, a Catholic legend. Dude, I admire people for throwing their opinions out like that because they know, get this, they're going to get killed in the media. Hey, I believe in family. I believe in family. I do. I grew up in the greatest family of all time. Greatest family of all time. Greatest family of all time. I would never change my growing up around my uncles and my aunt and my grandparents for any mother and father on the planet. I would never want a mother or father. Because the people, I was raised by 10 mothers, or no, 2 mothers, and my grandfather and the rest of them. I would never in a million years want to be raised by anybody else other than my family. I love every one of them. I would run in front of a bus for every one of them. Okay? I loved my life. And I didn't have mom and dad. It's okay. No way. I adore my life. Thankful for it. Sills, that was the reason Kareem Hunt was cut. Absolutely. I'm not going to put up with that shit in KC. That ain't going to happen, my friends. That's just not. All right. Today was a very interesting day in the world of Jalen Hurts. And I want to circle back to Hurts. I don't think I gave this enough conversation about Hurts. How many people in here believe that Jalen Hurts learned a ton from 2023 as a player and man? I have to write this down because I don't want to forget it. Yeah, it goes, you have respect for women. I've never raised my hand to a woman in my life. I have respect for women, the elderly, and animals. Rest of you, you're in trouble. No, I'm a pacifist now. How many people believe that 2023 Jalen Hurts has applied his mistakes and he's taking them forward here? We're moving forward using the Tim McManus story today. I got to tell you something, man. Jalen Hurts has done more since that final game in Tampa. And his leadership growth. He was asked today at the press conference, I'm not a golfer, man. I can't wait to hear the story when he says Jeffrey Lurie told him never to golf. I want to know that story. And he says, yeah, I'll tell you that for another day, but we did a lot of other things. I think they do cookouts, bowling, and he made it a priority for him to connect with players that maybe he doesn't have, he said it, a lot of communication with. And he wanted to work on that. Like, I doubt that he talks to the 6th linebacker on the football team in any substantial way. But he's gone out of his way to talk to the 6th linebacker, the last guy on the team, to kind of like, it's Brady-ish. Remember what Brady did when he got to Tampa? He went to Jason Light and he said, hey, you have the 90-man roster? He goes, yeah. He goes, can you forward it to me with all their phone numbers? Jason Light was, why? He goes, well, I got to call him. And Jason Light was like, you're going to call all 90 guys? He goes, I do it every year. Why? Jason Light said he never heard that. And there was Tom Brady calling every guy. Hey, welcome to the Bucs, man. We're looking forward to having a really great camp. I can't wait to see you guys go out there. Good luck to you, man. It's always a challenge to make a team. And you know what? We're going to be challenging one another out there. Shit like that. This is what Jason Light said. Brady's calling all 90 guys. This is what Wentz never got. And he's calling all 90 guys, and he did that for 24 years. And I saw him on his podcast. He said, it's the only reason I played as long as I did. Players wanted to play for me because I had a personal relationship with each and every single one of them. So when I had to be critical to them, they knew where it was coming from. And that's what kind of Hurts did. I'm awake, or you goes, they said Hurts has been that way from the start. Not what I heard last year. I heard that the Eagle organization had him a little bit isolated. I heard that there was situations where he didn't reach out. It seems to be more of a priority now, and players are commenting on it more so than any time. I think Jalen reached out to the right guys when he first got here. Now he's reaching out to all the guys. I think that's an evolution of being a team leader. Look, it's normal. I'm not going to talk to defensive or offensive guys unless guys I'm going against, O-linemen, maybe the running backs. I didn't talk to those guys much, the running backs and wide receivers. I never talked to wide receivers. Miami was different. It's probably I should learn a lesson from that because I did talk to all my teammates at every position. But when I got to other places, I didn't talk to running backs or receivers. Look at this. I'm awake, or you? We heard differently. Really? From who? Brandon Graham? Fletcher Cox? All those guys who were saying that about him? Didn't like his attitude on the sidelines? No, you hear what you want to hear as usual. Okay? You heard again what you wanted to hear. I like this. I like this. And Hurts has made a very good impression. Okay, he's made a very good impression. DRC says that Brandon Ayuk has been traded. Let's pipe down on that because the other day they said that he was traded to the Steelers. So let's wait and see how that thing comes out. Okay, and how that thing plays itself out. But I think Hurts shows some leadership here. I think he did go to the owner. I think he went to the owner and he told the owner that, hey, man, Nick Sirianni cannot be involved in the play calling. How hard was that? I wonder, and how that worked and who told Nick that. And if that created any conflict. Because obviously that had to have happened. Okay? Had to have happened. Was it Howie or the owner? I think it was the owner. I think the owner, Jeffrey Lurie, is more involved in this dynamic between Jalen Hurts. By the way, hey, Xander, how about if the source is Jeffrey Lurie for Tim McManus? Because this sounds like a story that if you're wrong, the Eagles are never letting you in that locker room again asking questions to any other people. You better be fucking dead on with this. And to Xander's point, hey, man, the timing? Is this more about showing Jalen Hurts is evolving as a leader at the expense of Nick? Or like what Xander said, as a head coach, you might have to have a little bit of humility here. Okay? I mean, okay, Yale goes like this, reaching. Okay, who would give that insight then, Yale, that he talked to Wink Martindale after getting thumped by the Giants, getting ready for the playoff game down in Tampa, and that there was a discord between the head coach and the quarterback all season long, and that the quarterback and the coordinator couldn't stand the meddling of Sirianni. You have to understand something about a writer like Tim McManus. He's not going to put that out there without having credible sources, even if he says they're anonymous. Because the Eagles won't allow you back in the locker room. Key fob gets automatically yanked out of the building. You can't be wrong in that building. Why do you think ESP and Howard Eskin is accused of sexually assaulting a woman, and he's in that building for a reason? Not because he's good, but because he's a mouthpiece. ESP ruined Deshaun Jackson's Eagle career. He's not in there because he's liked by people. He's in there because the players like him. He's in there because the Eagles like him. And he's an Eagle plant. Those are Eagle plants. John McMullen's not. Okay? I think Marcus Hayes is not. Those guys are not plants. ESP and Howard Eskin are plants. Nobody survives. Howard Eskin was in the bullpen today asking questions. So wait, the Sixers and the Phillies have barred him from their campus and their facilities, but the Eagles haven't. I really don't have to say any more about that. That's all you need to know. He's a plant. He's an absolute plant. How'd that story get out? Why is the story out now? What's the timing of it? Eagles are having a really good camp. Hurts is having a really good camp, probably the best since he's been an Eagle. Why now? Why wouldn't McManus have put that story out a year ago? Unless he was given the okay. By who? By the way, if I was a beat reporter and I pretty much covered the Eagles for ESPN, and I'm kind of a national guy or I'm a local guy, and I have a story like that, and I got to walk into that place tomorrow knowing all these national shows were talking about it today, how are you going to be received if you're the players? I look at Tim McManus and go, why? Why'd you do it now? We're in 2024. We're getting ready for the Ravens Friday. That's why when Hurts was asked the question today, who wrote the story? McManus goes, I did. And he's like, can you tell me what the reference is? Yeah, I wanted to know why from a year ago to where we are right now. And he's like, okay, I don't know what the relevance is. He didn't think it was a relevant article. He kept asking about remember, it was the third, fourth question added about Wink Martindale. And he kept getting, and he goes, what is this? Jalen got he got blindsided. He got blindsided today on that question. Somebody set him up. It was kind of a setup. Lurie's a huge meddler, especially now grooming his son for a front office job. Everyone should be ready for this to run the show. Oh, I've been saying that since day one. The next general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles is in the building. It's Julian Lurie. That's right, Senor. Hurts asked, why is it coming up now? What is this? And by the way, Xander and Hugh Douglas are right. What's the point? I'm not getting it. Sills, what do you think Hurts' ceiling could be? Kyle, I'm going to say something here that probably may not answer your question. I think Hurts' ceiling is 22. What do you have a problem with 22 for? If he plays like he did in 22, you're back in the Super Bowl. If my ceiling is runner-up in the MVP voting and out playing Mahomes in the Super Bowl, I'm okay with that ceiling. I just got to what was Tom Brady's ceiling? You think Tom Brady got any better from like the 5th year to the 23rd year? He just got better at reading defenses. He didn't have a bigger arm. He didn't have any kind of legs, so to speak. He had marginal talent. Brady even has said it. He had marginal talent, but he worked his ass off studying the game. Jalen Hurts' strength and his development will come down to the people around him. Every time the Eagles make a move at coordinator, hurts him. Even if they're good. It hurts him. He doesn't have the same growth level that Mahomes does or Burrow does, or to some extent even Allen now does, because of the constant evolving door of coordinators. His is at a 3% increase. Those other guys are going to be at 10. They're going to be ahead of him, and that's why some of them are ahead of him. Kyle Shanahan has Brock Purdy ahead of Jalen Hurts, not because he's better than him, but because he's had the same guy in his ear for 4 years or 3 years now. I mean, there's consistency in the league. Manning had the same coordinator for 10 years, had him for a decade in Coach Moore. Okay, I mean, but what you do is when you're constantly changing these guys out, good or bad, Hurts needs to stop, or they need to stop the revolving door. And I don't know how they do that because they love their control. I still will say this until they prove me different. Jeffrey Lurie would rather have control of the team than win Lombardi trophies. And it plays out that way every year in your hires. Xander keeps, he brings up the point. I wouldn't give Brian Johnson. Listen how that sounds. I wouldn't give Brian Johnson full control of the offense. But you would Kellen. Yeah. Why? Kellen's more experienced. You answer your own, not his. You answer your own pathetic way of doing business when you say that. Well, why don't you stick to that formula? I'm going to get the best guy I can for the kid, instead of the best guy that I can control for the kid. There lies the difference. That is, though, and get this, they're not wrong. Look, Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon got jobs. They're not wrong all the time. But I think you're going to be wrong more with this way of building team chemistry with coordinators than you are going to be right. Okay? Does Hurts throwing 0 interceptions look good for him, or does it look bad for the defense? Jay Monty, I think you take it both ways. I think the defense is showing you they haven't made a play yet in camp. That's troubling. But also Jalen Hurts protecting the football is outstanding. I would take it both ways. I don't have a problem with you taking it both ways. The defense has made no plays. Okay? They've made no plays this spring. Steels, that's an interesting statement that isn't wrong. As good as the Eagles organization is, and it is, they are egotistical the Patriot way, the Eagles way. Yeah, but Bob Kraft stays out of the way. Yeah, look at A-Track. Brock Purdy's a system quarterback, and he'll be the highest paid quarterback in the league. And he's done more than your guys. Stop trying to say that. This guy's a fucking buffoon. Dude, you can't tell me how good Hurts is and his success and then dismiss Purdy's success and say he's better when he hasn't done more than him. He's out past him. He's won more games than him. Higher percentage of wins. 2 conference title games. What are you talking about? I bet you when Buddy came down to Miami for you and Jerome, it made you better. Football players, why somebody trying to get better. Disciple. When Buddy Ryan was in the building, okay? What's his name? What's he say here? Let's see Purdy without Ayuk. Well, I think Kyle Shanahan will take care of that. How about this? Buddy Ryan came down and talked to Jerome and I and Stubbs, and he sat down there for 3-4 hours with us for 2 days, 3 days. Took us out to lunch. Got a chance to listen to him talk about playing defense. Dude, it was an absolute lesson. 2 years in a row, I got that lesson from Buddy Ryan. Come here, kid. Come here. You remind me of McMichael. McMichael had the same problem with that right foot. Got to put that right foot closer underneath. Get that right foot under there. You're like this. Okay. Purdy does what he's asked to do. That's called win. You mean win? Honestly, Sills, I give credit to Kyle Shanahan. He took Jimmy G to the Super Bowl doing the same thing. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Kyle Shanahan. Nobody's saying anything different than that. That's the style of quarterback. But at the end of the day, too, Prince, someone's got to execute it. I don't think you can just you can't slug Sam Darnold in and get the same result. Somebody's got to pull the trigger. Somebody's got to spread the ball around. Somebody's got to actually go out there and play. During plays on a scoreboard or on a chalkboard, I mean, is not going to win you ball games. Player execution is going to win. You know how you have a Prince? You know you have shitty linebackers? No matter how good the scheme is for Vic Fangio, you still got shitty linebackers. Okay? Think about that. Use that and apply it to Purdy. Vic Fangio is rated the second best defensive coordinator in pro football. Will he make an impact on that shitty linebacking core? Probably not. Probably not. Okay? Well, I thought it was a system. Brock Purdy's not better than Jalen. Okay. Name me one thing Jalen's done better. Calls me a liar. Name me one thing he's done better. One thing. It's not winning. One thing. Brock Purdy stats. So last year, Brock Purdy threw for 4,280. He's won more. He's got a higher win percentage. He's been to 2 conference title games. He's 17-4 as a starter. Last year, he threw for 4,280, 31 touchdowns. Had the highest number for per pass yards. For every pass he threw, 7 yards per play. 70% completion percentage. And he's been to 2 straight conference title games. In 21 games, he's lost 4 times. Stats mean shit, remember? No, I was talking more about the 2 conference title games, Chris. That's what I was talking about. 2 conference title games. 2 conference title game. No. I'm awake or you. I'm talking about being in the championship game 2 years in a row and then blowing your fucking doors off at the Link last year. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Dick Track goes, no, hey, he's a system quarterback, no Ayuk. Yeah, well, I saw what happened when AJ wasn't in the game for the Eagles against the Bucks. Couldn't put up 10 points against a football team that couldn't score 10 points against Carolina. What happened in that game? Tell me. Look, they do 2 different guys. They do 2 different things. All right. Guys, do me a favor. Xander, where are we in the like list, brother? Okay? Where are we in the like list here? 319. You guys absolutely destroyed it today. I can't thank you enough. Okay? You guys are great. Please hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your green house? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. You guys have been great. Don't forget, right after the program, we are going to take you into a special edition of Birds 365, and we'll give you that there too. So they'll be giving you a little bit more of an update on what's going on. John's walking off the practice field today. There'll be a lot more intel, so we'll be able to put that. Don't forget also to go over to the network to get more of your information too. Hey, Maine. Hey, Prince, nice job, brother. Nice job. You guys, man, look at that. 323 likes, man. You guys absolutely killed it, man. Philly 500 and Mark Holmes segment goes live tonight on the channel at 6:30. Boy, I got to tell you something, man. I don't see anything good for the Dallas Cowboys this year. No way. No way do I see anything good for them. Seals, do you have any info on what position the Eagles are targeting? You know, we'll deep dive into that tonight. We'll make some calls into that. Okay? Let's try to get it to 325. Great show today. Crowley, you guys are just sensational with all the subscribers today, too, and all the things you guys did. Sills, what if they get Higgins? T. Higgins, not the Higgins they signed today? There's too much money, man. I mean, they got to still sign CeeDee Lamb. That deal's not done yet. Then they got to turn around and put 60 on Dak. Then the following year, they got to figure out how they're going to pay Parsons. You know, they got to figure that out, how they're going to pay Parsons. Sills, I think it's linebacker and edge. I'll tell you what, we're going to look into that tomorrow. Sills, I'm worried about Bryce Huff. I've been worried about Bryce Huff since you signed him. By the way, Bryce Huff as a situational pass rusher is a sign. Bryce Huff to be a 3-down lineman is not a sign. I'm for him being on your team, but not the role they have him in. I mean, I really thought Bryce Huff and Hassan Reddick was going to be your edge rushers. And you can live with that. Plus, with Josh Sweat out there, I thought that's what they were going to do. I really did, man. So I'm with you on that. Don't worry about Huff. Well, wake me up when he makes a play. It's only been 3 weeks. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you again, man. Fantastic stuff. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Ton of likes today. Ton of subscribers today. You guys were sensational. Stay tuned for a very special edition of Birds 365. Xander, Big Joe, we appreciate it. 2 to 6 tomorrow, and we'll see you on the flip side.